listening. I just...
You've always been a rich child. You've always been rich.
So if you go there, I live there.
Where lies this doctor?
But you don't know. I lived in Kojo Sardine above me. Everybody who knows me knows that. Yes. So let's move on. Now, finance ministers have always taken this situation. Dr. Kwesi Botwe was the most hated person in Ghana. In fact, after he left the NDC government, and Jerry Rawlings and the people somehow had to have Kwesi Botwe exiting because of the image of a finance minister who was just delivering very difficult times to Ghanaians. When the MPP came to power in 2017, and maybe Hassan knows, there were many MPP people who wanted the blood of Setekwe because he was the bad one. And it was Ken Ofori-Atta who said that he has inherited Setekwe. Yes, the situation was bad, but he really doesn't see how what Setekwe has done that we're going to prosecute him. Many were those who were angry with Ofori-Atta, that he's gone there, he's following what Tekwe is doing, and they are doing business together. All of that was said. In 2017 and 2018...
Within your party?
Yes, within the party.
Within your party?
Yes, within the MPP.
Because I know, as a matter of fact, that Setekwe appeared before Iyoko.
Yes, he
several times.
Even within your party. The prosecution.
No.
The prosecution.
It's a different thing. Talk like a lawyer. It's a different thing. Appearing before Iyoko doesn't translate into prosecution.
Yes, fair enough.
No. Please.
I'm saying that prosecution
you can have your opinions.
I don't understand.
You can't understand.
Exactly.
Because you are saying that Amset was to be prosecuted. It's not true. He appeared. He was investigated. And he was cleared.
He's saying that
don't say that.
Standard that you can, and we lawyers know, you can lead your client to law enforcement. They will investigate today, tomorrow, the next can take a long time. But in the end, they will show. They will say that we're sorry, leave.
Okay, so
there's nothing to.
There's nothing to show that he was prosecuted. There's nothing.
But I'm saying that people went.
Don't give that narrative.
That you have inherited him.
It's wrong.
Where are the files? Where is that Mary?
It's wrong.
Oh, that's
how can you say?
You can have your time when I.
No.
I'm disposing of
your narrative
that are known to me.
Towards creating in the minds of people that Seth was to be prosecuted. No, but Ken Ofori-Atta interviewed for him.
It's wrong. Opportunity to speak.
Okay, you get.
No, it's wrong.
No, it's not wrong. But I'm disposing of matters that are within my knowledge. So let me move on. Ken Ofori-Atta was said by the World Bank to be the Africa's Finance Minister of the Year, 2017 and 2018. This same Ken Ofori-Atta. So we have come into, and that's why I bring civil society and the practicing lawyers in. We have come to receive a new epoch and dimension of criminal justice in Ghana since January 2025. Maybe it's right, maybe it's wrong, I don't know. But the new epoch that we have received is that the head of the criminal justice system, the Learned Attorney General, appointed under Article 88, has taken a different turn from all Attorney Generals of the Fourth Republic. He has come forward to talk about prosecution. Some say it's good, some say it's bad. The jury is out there. Now, in the things that the Honorable Dominic Ayine has been talking about, we've heard him speak about Kwabena Duboahim. We've heard him speak about Chairman Wontumi. Dominic Ayine, in the beginnings of his press conference, never said anything about Ken Ofori-Atta. Never. He was talking about Kwabena Duboahim. He comes to do press conferences, and then sometimes questions are asked. Now, he came and said that when the whole extradition between OSP and bring me letter and I'll bring you letter, when all of those things started, with, of course, political pressure, that Ken Ofori-Atta was a finance minister who led the country at a time that it was very difficult across the world. And it was really very difficult. Naturally, he's taking upon himself all of that blame. We will kill the finance minister. We will do this to the finance minister. Almost every finance minister gets unpopular in these kinds of situations. So, but this Attorney General has been talking and he has not said much about Ken Ofori-Atta. I have personally spoken to Ken Ofori-Atta about PDS. When we talk about PDS and we describe PDS as a scandal, we describe PDS as an offense. PDS was piloted by the American thing that we do, Millennium Development MIDA. Something, MIDA. And it was a company that was to take over some of ECG's work. And the company was unable to provide a guarantee for the purpose. And the company was taken out. The company has sued in international arbitration. And the international arbitration has returned a verdict against PDS and in favor of those who made the decision to take PDS out. Yet, the propaganda against Ofori-Atta continues to mention PDS. Okay, next is National Cathedral. They mentioned National Cathedral. We have all seen what has happened with the National Cathedral. The Attorney General's recent comments on the National Cathedral is there for all to see. The OSP has preferred charges against Ken Ofori-Atta on SML. Some contract that was awarded subsequent to that.
The OSP has 5 different cases that it is investigating Ofori-Atta on.
Yeah, I'm talking about the charges.
It's preferred charges only in one of the cases.
Yes, fair enough. What
and this also began before the new government.
Yes, that's what he said. Yes, so the OSP has preferred charges on SML. That's the only thing. The Attorney General has really not said anything. That Ofori-Atta, he hasn't told us whether he is also in pursuit of the SML matter or that he is in pursuit of some other matters.
He has told me,
yes,
here on Newsfile,
yes,
that he's pursuing other matters for which there are international entities and persons who have been brought into the subject. There are offshore stuff in respect of Ofori-Atta, and he tells me and my viewers that that is going to be a bigger issue than SML.
But he doesn't mention it.
No, he doesn't say what it is.
That is out of character for Dominic Ayine, because this is a Dominic Ayine who hosts press conferences and devolves everything. So if he told you that there's a case that he's investigating against the political foe, the biggest political foe, Ken Ofori-Atta, but he's unable to mention and tells us that he has international, this, international, that, well, I don't know, because this is not Dominic Ayine's character. That will be out of character. And when people act out of character, we know what the literature people say. But coming back onto the point, so this is the Ken Ofori-Atta situation, and it has been politicized because we are in a new epoch of criminal justice system where everything is being announced. Sedinam Tamaklo, which has become a matter so important that the NDC propaganda machine had to even issue a statement or publish something that Sedinam Tamaklo is also being taken through the same Ofori-Atta process. As we sit here, it's not verifiable that there was any Sedinam Tamaklo matter similar to the Ofori-Atta process occasioned by this government. It's not verifiable. It may well turn out that the whole Sedinam Tamaklo matter was just propaganda, that nothing has happened.
The Ghana embassy in the US lied?
Well, the Ghana embassy in the US said something that you said the court didn't happen. You said the Ghana embassy said 21st. It's happening. We are here. It hasn't happened.
They told us.
You said this. The word you used was that there's been blackouts.
Yes.
Yes.
They've been blocked out from following the process.
Who has been blocked out?
That's what they told us.
You believe that? In America, the United States of America,
they have
process
access.
Is going on.
They have access until I have the contrary. And I have to stick with what they say.
Well, fair enough. We have to believe public officials until we have something to the contrary. Anyway, so that is the new justice system that we have come into. The Sedinam Tamaklo trial was started. She asked for permission to leave, and she left, and she didn't return, and the matter ended. His lawyer, while Sedinam was away during the so-called trial in absentia, cross-examined the Attorney General's witnesses until they got to the point where the judge was able to give a ruling. And when he gave the judgment, it was against Sedinam Tamaklo. And if, as a society, we are concerned about corruption, you know better than all of us that a man is innocent until proven guilty in the Anglo-Saxon common law. A man is innocent until he's proven guilty. We all know that. So between Sedinam Tamaklo, who has been convicted, and Ken Ofori-Atta, whose trial is yet to start for us to know where it ends. Ofori-Atta's trial may start and he has an opportunity to end at the submission of no case. Ofori-Atta's trial may start and Ofori-Atta may be convicted. It's all a may. We don't know. But for Sedinam Tamaklo, we know. These two people belong to two political parties. One person belongs to the ruling party. The other person belongs to the opposition party. When the MPP government was in power, they made very little noise about what had happened with Sedinam Tamaklo. I'm only finding out this morning that Agbesi Jakwasu was his lawyer. In Ofori-Atta's case, he's in America. The story is that someone may have snitched on him. So he's going out for a walk and he's grabbed by ISIS people because ISIS people needed a court order to enter into his premises. They didn't have that court.
You mean ICE, not ISIS?
Sorry. ICE people, they don't have a court order to enter into his premises. And then he's going on his walk, which is part of a recovery process from cancer, I have been told. And people who have recovered from cancer are regularly told that they should go on walks to physically exercise. So he was going on a walk, he's grabbed by ICE and he's sent to a place. Now, let's come back to why Ofori-Atta is not coming and we are holding demonstrations and all of that. I am happy with what the US lawyer said because it was always the truth, that the demonstrations going on may actually inure to Ofori-Atta's benefits. What's the Ofori-Atta story? He leaves Ghana. He has a letter from the Chief of Staff. He tells Chief of Staff that, Baba, I'm going away. but I'm available for anything. Chief of Staff says, thank you, you can go. He obtained permission from the government of the day because Ofori-Atta was relatively important to the transition. So they all dealt with him. So he's going away and he says, I'm not here, he's gone. Then he appoints lawyers to deal with the matter. His lawyers say that, oh, he's going to hospital. Which hospital? Mayo Clinic. Mayo Clinic submit everything. Then whilst it is known where he is, he's been told that whether you are doing Mayo Clinic or not, you have to come back to Ghana on this date. His lawyers say, we'll try. The date comes, he doesn't come. They said that he's still under medical whatever. Okay. Then, in those circumstances, he's put on Interpol red alert. In subsequent circumstances, Interpol find the reason, legal, political, sociological, whatever, to take his name off their red alert. He created news in Ghana. Why did Interpol find the reason to take his name off the red alert? Because in assessing the situation, you don't put somebody that you know where he is on red alert. So these circumstances then began to change a little bit.
The story, the alternative, is that Interpol did not take his name down.
What happened?
They did a reduction. Because he had made an application.
What is reduction?
Reduction is that he can only be seen by, it's limited. Viewing is limited. What certain people?
Viewing him. So Paul, what we are told is it's like a typical injunction application that you take to a court. Then a court said, oh, because I've seen this application, can we all hold on until I finish? So that doesn't mean that
his name is taken off.
Has that finished? Has that process finished? The process you address.
Well, now it looks like, other issues have
but what it means is that Interpol thought that there's a case to look at for Ofori-Atta.
Which is a fair process.
Fair enough. So now when these things come up like that, the guy says, I'm coming. You're not coming. Oh, you're on red alert. Oh, charges have been preferred against you. And then all of these things are going on. It may constitute a way in which Ofori-Atta and his advisors may feel that, are we really safe in going back into this jurisdiction given all what is happening?
When you are told that all the time when you were being told that, oh, I'll come, he had started a process to become a citizen of that country so he doesn't come.
Yes, that is concerned.
You still believe that he actually wanted to return?
Yeah, but you see, Ofori-Atta doesn't have the power to decide that I won't come to Ghana. There are legal processes that can compel him to come to Ghana. He cannot decide.
Those processes are ongoing. Why are we worried about them?
Exactly.
Yeah, but nobody's worried. Those processes must go on. But the politicization of it, with a press conference and demonstrations and holding on to Ofori-Atta as if he's the one to provide the 21 billion that oral promised, out of which after 1 year we have gotten zero. Today the Attorney General says that Sami Okudzeto and Blackwell's 21 billion may not have been 21 billion. That's what the Attorney General is telling us. This is a society and a government that comes into office running on the back of corruption, which has been the same case for many opposition parties in the Fourth Republic. They run on corruption, but this group of people wanted to demonstrate their commitment to anti-corruption, which was great.
I told you have been speaking for 16 minutes.
I'm sorry.
Or 17 so far. Will you believe me?
I don't believe you, but I'm wrapping up because
it was heckled.
He was not heckled.
Give me 2 minutes to wrap up.
Yeah, go ahead. That's not heckling.
This is a way to take our attention from the commitment that was made for the $21 billion, not cedis, $21 billion. If Ghana has lost $21 billion to corruption, we are in serious trouble and we need a full commitment to anti-corruption to retrieve this. How much of the 21 billion is Ofori-Atta? And where is the rest of the 21 billion after 1 year for an Attorney General who holds press conferences that we are all, the legal society, the political society, is discussing whether this is the way to go?
The 21 billion, the OSP alone has 5 cases that it is looking for Kenneth Ofori-Atta to answer. Yes,
no, oral, I'm talking about oral and it's 21 billion.
All right. Oh, okay, yes.
Oral's 21 billion.
Are you a headmaster, headmistress, parent, teacher, or an educator looking for high-quality textbooks for preschool, primary, and junior high school students? Look no further than Advocate Publishing Company. Advocate Publishing Company is a leading publisher of educational materials in Ghana that publishes very engaging, interactive, and comprehensive textbooks that meet the needs of students, teachers, and parents. Our textbooks are thoroughly published to make learning fun and easy. They are also designed to stimulate critical thinking, problem solving, and creativity in students. Make Advocate Publishing your preferred choice for all your educational needs. Explore our range of textbooks and educational resources. Visit us at the old GNTC yard near Kingsway, Accra. You can contact us on 0503 786 776 or 02408 06354, also 0531 600360, and connect with us on Instagram, X, and Facebook at Advo Publishing. Don't settle for less. Choose the best. Advocate Publishing Company, empowering young minds one textbook at a time. Thinking publishing, think Advocate Publishing.
Rush, 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 rush your kids. Rush, 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 2 times a day. Rush with Kel-Kit.
Hello, my friends. My name is Kel-Kit Toothpaste.
Wow.
I was made to be gentle on your gum but protected. I will protect your teeth from cavity, make your teeth whiter, stronger, keep your mouth fresh all day. And best of all, I'm strawberry flavored. So put on a smile and try me.
That's amazing.
Just try me. That's my job.
If you say so, jump on my brush. Makes your teeth stronger, chicky chicky whiter, chicky chicky stronger. Yay! You did it!
I'm glad you like your new toothpaste. Don't forget to brush both day and night.
Kel-Kit. Happy smile.
Can he tee up someone in red? In it goes to one!
Too much, sir!
That's who goal is for.
What
After 5 Champions League, you want to know?
I be the real goat, Chairman.
I be the real goat.
The left magician, the left magician.
Who is the goat? Ghana Jollof or Nigeria Jollof?
Ghana Jollof has no co-equal. The smell alone. Oh my God.
No, that shift. You two they lie, eh? Now the same stew when they use cook the rice and then they go put them for top.
Hey, you are lying. Ghana Jollof.
I knew this year. Forget everybody. Yeah,
My guy.
Put some respect on the goat.
On the goat. The only goat I know lives in Tama.
Every year we dey give to you back to back.
We are talking about PET. I want some Yaji face.
Except be the goat, huh?
My guy, he be the goat.
Though our choice of goats may differ in football, music, and jollof, Alomo Bitters always brings us together. Alomo, experience greatness in every moment.
Drink responsibly. Not for sale to persons under 18, nor recommended to pregnant women. This advert is FDA approved.
Zoomlion Private Services Limited, your waste management experts. One of the most innovative aspects of our business is our commitment to adopting cutting-edge technologies and sustainable practices in the waste management industry. We have invested in modern waste collection trucks, digital payment systems. We have also implemented efficient waste segregation systems and also developed strategic partnerships with our various stakeholders in the waste management value chain. I can talk about our innovative approach that enables us to reduce waste disposal costs, also minimize our environmental impact, and provide our clients with seamless customer service experience. We are the waste management experts.
Yes, next.
Captain Tontum, Mr. Friendly Calico, just call me cockroach.
Now, Mr. Friendly once now.
Hey, that's you.
Improve car.
Yeah.
Captain Mosquito, double the accent. Maybe the Sasso spray. Mr. Friendly Sasso quell. Yeah, come to my Sasso.
Sasso, come tum preko.
Crazy pa. Nansa by now me.
Whiskey.
Wash. All of a sudden, my voice I hear different. And when you saw a call. Barman, bring me the honey whiskey. You know the one? Black Rock Whiskey.
Honey whiskey.
Chalet, honey near their fro. Black Rock Whiskey is strong. Now so taste me is smooth and it goes down easy. Excuse me. Barman, bring my friend one Black Rock Whiskey.
Black Rock Whiskey, blended with natural honey flavor.
Hey, what's up?
Barman.
Hey, what the hell for Sikanton Sata? The pure Bintoma no.
Black Rock Whiskey can be the feeling smoothness, no.
Drink responsibly. Not for sale to persons under 18 years of age and not recommended for pregnant women.
This advert is FDA approved.
The festive season is here again, and your most preferred estate partner is giving you 25% discount on land sale. Yes, for our Bronya Asase promo, Estate Masters is offering this massive discount for outright purchases. This includes free indenture, free site plan, and a free site visit. So what are you waiting for? Rush now and secure a plot of land while it is still hot. Reach out to us using the numbers below or visit our website at www.estatemastersgh.com. Estate Masters, your most preferred estate partner.
When they score in a 10.
Now, National Executive Committee approved eligibility provisions. Ladies and gentlemen of the press,
welcome to this year 2026. Welcome also to Good Evening Ghana, your favorite political show. We have a very sensitive political story to start the year, and we're giving it to you right now and right here. Before we do that, though, here's our montage.
Ghana, land of freedom, toils of the brave, and the sweat of their labors, toils of the brave.
The General Secretary of the NDC, the Honorable Fifi Kwete, has insinuated that the majority leader in Parliament, Mahama Ayariga, is a bootlicker and he's a sycophant. How did this happen? Well, Mahama Ayariga, during the closing session of Parliament, told Parliament, with the support of Sam George, that it is possible for President Mahama to have a third term. Sam George is the one who supplied the Baumia expression, it is possible, to Mahama Ayariga when he was on his feet talking in Parliament. He said it is possible for John Mahama to have a third term. Now, during the revolution celebration, the 31st December revolution celebration of a couple of days ago, Fifi Kwete, in typical feisty revolutionary speech, very feisty, called out all those who are asking for President Mahama to have a third term, or those who think that it is possible, including Sam George and including the majority leader, Mahama Ayariga. Now, Fifi Kwete says all of these people are sycophants and they are bootlickers. This is what Mahama Ayariga said. Listen.
asking him to seek a third term. I know that. I know that because I read on social media, I listen to conversations, and Ghanaians believe that as a result of the good deeds of His Excellency President John Dramani Mahama, they don't want him to leave the presidency.
They believe a third term is possible.
And they believe that a third term is possible. And they are demanding for a third term.
It was Sam George at the back. It was Sam George who was saying at the back that they believe a third term is possible. So Sam George and Mahama Ayariga. Now, this had appeared to have robbed Fifi Kwete on the very, very wrong side when Mahama Ayariga said it. But Fifi Kwete didn't say anything. He's a typical classic politician. He waits for the time the game is ready, and then he fires. So, revolution anniversary comes. 44 years of JJ's revolution, and that revolution is important. That revolution has constitutional implications because whilst that revolution overthrew a constitution, that revolution created a government that then brought Ghana another constitution. So the forum is perfect. What does Fifi Kwete do? He lashes at Mahama Ayariga. He says that all those people who are saying those things, they are sycophants, they are hypocrites, they don't love NDC, they don't love Ghana. The majority leader in parliament doesn't love NDC, doesn't love Ghana, Honorable Fifi Kwete. Listen to him.
It saddens me when I see so much sycophancy creeping into our party. I see a group of people who obviously, from every indication, they believe that singing the praises of a leader is the only way they can survive. And that's why you hear some of those people
Let's look at the video of what the Honorable General Secretary of the NDC said today at his press conference.
Now, National Executive Committee approved eligibility provisions. Ladies and gentlemen of the press, pursuant to Article 54 of the party's constitution, the National Executive Committee has approved the following general provisions under Section H of the guidelines for the elections. 1. Any person seeking to contest for a party position who currently holds an office to which he or she was appointed by the president or government must resign from that office at least 6 clear months before filing nomination forms. I take that again. Any person seeking to contest for a party position who currently holds an office to which he or she was appointed by the president or government must resign from that office at least 6 clear months before filing nomination forms. 2. Chairpersons or members of boards or persons in an analogous position are exempt from this restriction. Why? Because they are not full-time employees. So those who are full-time employees are affected. And the following are those who are affected. The affected officers under paragraph 1 include, they are not limited to: A. Ministers and deputy ministers. B. Chief executive officers, managing directors, their deputies, or analogous officers. C. Metropolitan, municipal, and district chief executives. So those are the 3 main categories that we mentioned. I take them again. The affected officers under paragraph 1 include, they are not limited to: A. Ministers and deputy ministers. B. Chief executive officers, managing directors, their deputies, or analogous officers. C. Metropolitan, municipal, and district chief executives. Now, the official guidelines for the elections will from today be made public. So all of you will be able to have access to it. Now, for the avoidance of doubt and for absolute clarity, those intending to contest at the constituency level who fall in the category I just mentioned, the 3 categories I mentioned, those intending to contest at the constituency level shall resign by April 2026. Those intending to contest at the regional level shall resign by May 2026. And those intending to contest at the national level shall resign by June 2026. These provisions are firm, constitutional, and we enforce without exception. So please don't even bother to come and see whether you can plead to be exempted. Because there's no plea in this matter.
Viewers, I'm not a soothsayer and I'm not a prophet, but I can assure you that there's going to be a court case on this one. There's several challenges to this, and eventually there may even be a court case on it. But now let's get into the details. Fifi Kwete says that if you want to be an officer of the party, so that means a polling station, I think they call it ward. The ward officers, constituency officers, regional, so that means regional chairman, regional secretary, regional deputy secretary, and the women's organizer and the youth organizer are going to be in a separate election, but they're also part of it. And then the national. Very interesting. Now, my first take on this matter, viewers, is the exemptions. The exemptions are so interesting. If you look at the personalities that have been exempted, you will see the point I'm making. Now, Fifi Kwete says that ministers, deputy ministers, chief executives, deputy chief executives, and those appointed in analogous positions. That means those appointed in similar positions. So, for instance, executive director. You are not a chief executive and you're not a deputy chief executive. You are an executive director. So President Mahama appoints, apparently there's one at Ghana Commercial Bank. I think President Mahama has appointed somebody at Ghana Commercial Bank. He's like an executive director, something like that. So President Mahama appoints an executive director to maybe a Greek Development Bank where there's already an MD and a deputy MD. That person is in an analogous position. So that's just an example. Okay. Now, I'm tempted to go to the exemptions, but let me now go to those that have obviously been affected by this decision. Fifi Kwete is not affected. So, George Opariado. Now, what it means is that if George Opariado, who is the national youth organizer of the party, he won an election, he was elected the national youth organizer of the party, coming into office, President Mahama has given him an appointment. He is the Minister for Employment and Manpower and all of that. Youth employment, manpower, something. Quite a nice portfolio. That's George Opariado. George Opariado continues to be the national youth organizer of the party today. His tenure is ending this year. Now, George Opariado has come into this position because he had been working with the youth during the campaign. So President Mahama has put him into this position so that the youth will find expression in government. The youth that George Opariado worked with, they will find expression in government through George Opariado's portfolio, which is concerning the youth. Now, George Opariado cannot continue to be a minister after May 2026 if he wants to continue as national youth organizer. I'm sure George Opariado, who has only done, I think he's done one term in the position. I stand to be corrected. I think it's one term. George Opariado, who's done one term in the position, now he wants to do another term. Fifi Kwete's rules, which is now the national executive rules, says that Opariado must resign from the thing in May so that he can contest in November. If he wins, he remains there. He doesn't become a minister anymore. Wow. This is going to be interesting. So Opariado, gone. I can't see in Ghanaian politics how Opariado will say, I'm resigning from minister to go and run for party when the party is in government. The party is in government. So why is he going to? I mean, the government is more important than being in the party. All the party's efforts was so that they will be in government. Now they are in government, he's part of government, he should leave the government and go and do the party that is in government. How? Nobody will do that. So Opariado, down, out. He's not going to become, he's either going to leave the ministry to continue as national youth organizer to win another election, which I think he won't do. He'll be there. So he's no longer going to be the NDC's. All the experience he has, he keeps it in government. Another person becomes a national youth organizer to control the party. I'll tell you more about this. Opariado, down, out. Sammy Gyamfi, in fact, he has already said that he doesn't want to run as PR for the party anymore. He's already said it. As soon as the party won elections, he said, I'm not interested. I'm going to sell gold. It's better. I'm not interested in this party thing. I'm shouting then, Paul, I don't want you to be mentioning my name. Then they are calling me on Newsfile, and I just want gold and do my work. Please, I want peace of mind. I'm tired of this KK every day. My phone is ringing. Every time they are calling me from a table, all radio stations have access to my phone. My WhatsApp doesn't sleep. Now I'm selling gold. I did all that so that we come to power. We are in power. President Mahama has given me a very important responsibility to protect the city. That is what I want to do. Party. Bye-bye. Okay, so he's gone. So not much to say about him. He's gone. He says he's not interested anymore. He's gone. All right. This is the big one. Malik Batintale. He has to leave the work. Fifi Kwete said he should leave that place and wait. 6 clear months. 6 months. A whole 6 months. Get out of the place. 6 months. Come and run he's a deputy national communications officer. Yes. He's a deputy national communications officer. So he's Sammy Gyamfi's deputy. Basintale has not even done a quarter of what he wants to do in the party level. He has not done much. He was just exposed by election 2024 and railroaded into this position, and he was coming on Good Morning Ghana. He hasn't even paid Metro TV the dues that he has to pay, because Basintale was discovered on Metro TV. Without Metro TV, nobody knew Basintale. It is Metro TV, Good Morning Ghana. He has still not come to pay it. If you see him telling that, I'm saying that the management of Metro TV is waiting for him. Since that we have made him minister, he should come and do something for us. Anyway, so that's Malik Basintale. He's a CEO of YA. Basintale has to leave. He has to leave the office and then become party. That's going to be a critical decision. How is President Mahama going to relate to this decision? I'll tell you that in a minute. So Basintale, trouble. Next. This one is part of my other analysis. So let me jump it and come back. Let's see who is there. This one too is part of my other analysis. Let me jump it and come back. Mustafa Gbande kept saying on Joy FM this evening that when they hadn't asked him any question, well, they had asked him a question, but it wasn't related. He said, he used the phrase about 3 or 4 times in 2 minutes. It's not about me. It's not about me. It's about the party. Do you know why he was saying that? Because this is indeed about him. It is about him. All this is about, he wants to run for General Secretary against Fifi Kwete. So this is about him, Mustafa Gbande. He's currently the Deputy General Secretary. He wants to become General Secretary. Fifi Kwete wants to maintain his position as General Secretary. Basintale, my friend Mustafa Gbande, wants to be the General Secretary. He has to be kicked out of that Jubilee House because he's Deputy Director of Operations at the Jubilee House. He's Deputy Director of Operations. His portfolio is quite important and quite serious. He does all kinds of things. He manages the party, the Akwetia by-election. It was he who managed it straight from Jubilee House. So all of this is about him. Number one, critical is about him. First, he started the campaign to remove Fifi Kwete. Fifi Kwete says, you want to remove me? Remove yourself from Jubilee House for 6 months and see whether you get 1 vote. That's the matter. There's no other matter. That's the matter. So when you heard Mustafa Gbande on Joy FM repeating, this is not about me. This is not, it is about him. It's about him. It's part of it. So that's a very complicated one. Does he want to remain Deputy General Secretary? Does he want to become General Secretary? He has to leave the Jubilee House. 6 months. Fifi Kwete is a very brutal guy. Aha! Okay. Ofusan Pofu is here. So now, let me go to the other side of the story. Okay. So this is the other story. The reason why the exemptions are there, and the reason why Fifi Kwete had to explain the exemptions, is because he knows that as part of the exemptions, some people may think that there's a dishonesty in the equation. Some people may think so. They may think that there's a dishonesty in the equation. Because you say that minister is affected, deputy minister is affected. Now, why are these rules set up? These rules are set up because you want to have a level playing field. You want everybody to stand at the same level. You want people's talents and ambition and vision for the party to be evaluated devoid of what position they hold in government. Because when you hold a position in government, it can cloud the idea, the vision of the delegates. You may have better access to resources because every candidate must have resources. Every candidate must raise some resources. That's fundamental to democracy and politics. You must raise resources, okay? So if you can't raise resources, you cannot be a candidate. Now, the raising of resources is also part of the skill that is being assessed by delegates. So if a person is a minister, he may not even need to raise the resources as a credible candidate. He can cajole it. You can cajole the resources using your power in the government. So that's the real reason. Now, if you are talking about resources in terms of who can get resources, and therefore we don't want those who cannot get resources, those who can get resources to compete with those who cannot get resources. If really that's your concern, this man is the chairman of the board of one of the biggest banks in Ghana, the Ghana Commercial Bank. This is the chairman of the board. Joshua Alabi, former presidential candidate. He may want to be presidential candidate again. He may want to be party chairman. He may want to be something. But he is exempted. Fifi Kwete and Asiedu Nketia. I'll come to Asiedu Nketia. You give me Alabi. Fifi Kwete and Asiedu Nketia have sat down together, 2 clever men, and they have developed this scenario. And they have excluded people. And I'm coming to tell you the main person why why they are doing this. Joshua Alabi is chairman of the board of the Ghana Commercial Bank. Ghana Commercial Bank is the biggest bank. The chairman of the board is such an important decision maker. His influence in the government is bigger than plenty deputy ministers. His influence could be bigger than many ministers. Ghana Commercial Bank is a multi-million-dollar bank listed on the Ghana Stock Exchange, so important to the Ministry of Finance. Fifi Kwete says that a man can be board chairman of Ghana Commercial Bank and compete with me, who is in Labadi, Ladade Kotopon, or Kojo Sadi, Lajoae, or Teate. I mentioned the Labadi areas of the constituency for you. The market area is called Lajoae, and then you have Teate, which is in the middle there. Labadi, so if I'm from Labadi, I'm from Teate, near Wizards Park. I'm an NDC man. Everybody knows me in the area. They call me Slow. That's my name. Slow. Everywhere I go, Slow. But I don't have money. But I have influence. And I want to be the Greater Accra Regional Chairman of the party. And Joshua Alabi too wants to be the Greater Accra Regional Chairman of the party. Fifi Kwete is telling me that if Joshua Alabi is a minister, he should step down 6 months before. If Joshua Alabi is a deputy minister, he should step down 6 months before. If Joshua Alabi is a chief executive of Ghana Exim Bank, like Sylvester Mensah, and I'm bringing Sylvester Mensah in because I'm talking about Labadi, like Sylvester Mensah, he should step down. But chairman of the board should not step down. Huh? What's his name? What's he talking about? What is Fifi Kwete talking about? The chairman of GCB should not step down. Chairman of GMPC, he can continue. Chairman of Cocoa Board, he can continue. Okay, let me give you an interesting scenario. So Sylvester Mensah is the chief executive of Exim. He has a board chairman. Assuming that Sylvester Mensah wants to be Greater Accra Regional Chairman of NDC, and his board chairman too wants to be Greater Accra Chairman of NDC, the point Fifi Kwete is making is that Sylvester Mensah will have to step down, but the board chairman continues. Viewers, can you think of something like that? I'm chief executive. You are board chairman. We are all Exim Bank. We all want to be Greater Accra Regional Chairman. Me, chief executive, step down. Board chairman, remain. How lopsided. And do you know why? It is because of Johnson Asiedu Nketia. This whole matter is to protect Asiedu Nketia. He is chairman of GAPOHA, Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority. The chairman therein is more influential than many ministers. But he gets to keep his position. This is the problem with our democracy. The democracy that is founded on intelligent men sitting together and cooking something for themselves. Intelligent men. They sit together, they cook something for themselves. Asiedu Nketia is board chairman of GAPOHA. Board chairman, GAPOHA. He can keep his position. He should keep it and come guide himself to the chairmanship again. And then from there, he'll guide himself to the presidency. You are minister, get down. You are deputy minister, resign. You are chief executive, resign. You are deputy chief executive, resign. But Asiedu Nketia, chairman of GAPOHA, protected. This is the politics. This is the kind of politics, I can assure you, with the democracy that we have, this Fifi Kwete and NEC decision is going into a challenge. It's going to be massively challenged. But how can chairman of GAPOHA remain? So chairman of GMPC remain. Chairman of GOIL remain. There are those board chairmen who are more influential than ministers. Board chairman. Cocoa board chairman is very influential. GAPOHA board chairman is hugely influential. GCB board chairman is very, very influential. A few others did I mention GMPC already? Yeah. National Petroleum Authority board chairman. If you are going into a contest, in a parliamentary contest, for instance, if you want to be a parliamentary candidate for the NDC, or you want to be a regional somebody, or you want to be a national somebody, and you are competing with the chairman of MPA, oh, forget it. MPA, he has all the petrol stations under control. He can call a petrol station that, look, I'm going to campaign at Tebubu. Say, oh, chairman, how are you? Say, I'm going to Tebubu. Charlie, you have to help your chairman. They will help the chairman. Me, who is from Ladade Kotopon or from Teshi, I can't call anybody. They won't help me. Somebody is chairman of MPA. You say he should remain chairman of MPA to fight the battle. Asiedu Nketia is chairman of GAPOHA. Huge. GAPOHA. He wants to keep his chairmanship, dancing around it. He will be doing his chairmanship. GAPOHA is so important to the economy. GAPOHA is one of the backbones of Ghana's economy. The Minister of Finance and the Minister of Transport, they are probably talking to GAPOHA every day on a daily basis. They talk to GAPOHA. And he's chairman over there. He's chairman. He's controlling all the ports and harbor, Takoradi Port and Tema Port. Together, they are a multi-trillion-dollar company. Asedu Nketia is chairman. And the Chief Equator's rules say that Asedu Nketia will remain chairman. If you are a minister, you have to go. Asedu Nketia there, he will be there. Oh my goodness, this is going to be very interesting over the weeks. I won't say much. We'll get there. Just to show you that there's a lot of conversation to be had about this. Mustafa, how are you, my brother? You promised that after some time, but you know, how are you doing? Okay. All right. That's Mustafa Agbande. He's my friend. When you see him, ask him. He'll tell you how he's my friend. We made friends in Asin North. Was it Asin South we went to? The by-election. Yeah, that's where we had a long chat throughout the night. At the time, he was telling me that they will win the election and they will win 2024 and we will see. That's what he told me. So that's Mustafa Bande. But viewers, I hope you are getting what I'm saying. I mean, you can call me Diufiasem. It's not my matter. Yeah, I will accept that. But this is. And good evening again. Welcome to Good Evening Ghana. People have lost their voices from the Saturday political event, but now we are back on the block, back at work, and we now have a candidate on the 2028 ballot. Ghana has one candidate on the 2028 ballot, and that's Mahamudu Bawumia. We are waiting for the other candidates. Some of them will be coming from December 2027 to join Dr. Bawumia on the ballot. Tonight, we have a lot to share with you. We're going to get into some deep analysis that we were hoping to do, but because of the MPP Congress, we didn't do it. Tonight, we're going to look at whether Dr. Bawumia can win 2028 elections. What are his paths of winning? What path must he use to win? We're going to look at an electoral map and have some details in there. We're going to be doing this over the next 2 programs or so as our researchers come up with the Dr. Bawumia's path to victory in 2028. That should be very interesting. Also, the Mustafa Bande, the NDC's Deputy General Secretary, who is also the Deputy Director of Operations at the Jubilee House, whom we discussed in the editorial just past about the Fifi Kwete announcement, about which we'll have a lot to do. I mean, the Fifi Kwete announcement. We're going to be tracking the days on which he said people should resign, and then we will look at that day and see who has resigned. And if no one has resigned, it will mean that for that particular position, whether polling station executive, I think they call it ward, or constituency executive, or perhaps the regional executives, nobody in political appointment is interested. We'll be getting you those facts on the epochal dates that he mentioned. So when the date happens, we will look at it. Okay. But Mustafa Bande had this whole conversation about the things that Fifi Kwete said, and that we were pointing out to you, that it may be an unbalanced equation to ask a deputy minister to leave his office, but a board chairman to keep his role. That equation that looks like unbalanced, we were not the only people who were worried about it. On Asempa Radio, Mustafa Bande was questioned extensively by Obi about the fact that this matter having been put out, whether or not it was put out with the consent and the concurrence of President John Dramani Mahama, who is also the leader of the NDC. In this 14-second video, Mustafa Bande struggles to answer the question and leaves listeners and viewers believing that President Mahama may not have been consulted on this matter because perhaps it was suspected that he will not be in approval. So the party is showing power against the government because they do have the power, don't they? They are the party that brought the government into power. Here's Mustafa Bande struggling to answer the question with Obi.
I'm asking a simple question, sir. This decision and NEC take here, you know. Or Mampeni approve of the decision, and yes or no, and then we move on.
It's not about him to approve. It is about him to be aware and adequately informed.
I'm asking a simple question, sir. This decision and NEC take here, you know. Or Mampeni approve of the decision, and yes or no, and then we move on.
It's not about him to approve. It is about him to be aware and adequately informed.
I'm asking a simple question, sir. This decision and NEC take here, you know. Omanpenny approve of the decision, and yes or no, and then we move
on. It's not about him to approve. It is about him to be aware and adequately informed.
It's about him to be aware and adequately informed. That's Mustafa Bande, a good friend of mine on the screen here. So that's Mustafa Bande. Now, that's the end of the NDC story. We'll be exploring it in greater detail on Thursday. We'll have a lot to tell you about what's happening in the NDC. Now, though, soon after that, this was published, A+ again. You remember that it was Kwame A+ who published something about the Attorney General. There were threats to remove him from the majority caucus, and then later he apologized, saying that it was a fake account that was used to call the Attorney General names. Now he's back at it again. He says Fifi Kwete is a low-budget Jerry Rawlings. This is what A+ said. A+ is classically not a member of the party, but he sits with the party. The party allowed him to win the seat because I think the NDC did either not present a candidate or did not fight the election. So he's there sitting with the NDC, and he's calling everything that Fifi Kwete has been doing. He's calling it the Fifi Kwete portraying himself in a new character, and that character, A+ says, is a low budget Jerry Rawlings, that Fifi Kwete is a wannabe. This is A+ speaking, that Fifi Kwete is a wannabe and is trying hard to be like a Jerry Rawlings of sorts, and it's not going to work because the Jerry Rawlings is portraying is a low budget. When the Gen Z say something is a low budget something, it means that the wannabe fake is not working. We can see through it. You are trying to be like Rawlings. It's not working. It's, that kind of thing. Yeah, that's what he's saying. Anyway, we'll leave it here. We'll come back to it. We'll come back to these stories in greater detail. As I'm saying, there's already one candidate on the ballot for 2028, and that's Alhaji Mahamadou Bawumia. He would be joined later on that ballot by other people. Would it be Asedun Ketia? Would it be Julius Debra? Would it be Keslato Forsen? Would it be Drisu Haruna? Would it be Samuel Okujeto Blakwa? Would it be, who else? Minister for Health, Minta Kando? Would it be Minister for Lands, Amako Fibua? So Dr. Bawumia is already there, and we're waiting for the people that come, and then we can analyze it. In fact, Bawumia will be lonely for a while because he's there from January 2026. He's going to be the only one on the ballot, I believe, until December 2027 or sometime in January 2028. What does Bawumia do with that time to consolidate his presence on the ballot as the first one to have come on the ballot? What does he do? We'll be rolling that out. But now let's start with this. Here we go with Bawumia for 2028, and join us for the details. So we begin with the visit to the mountain to John Kufuor's residence earlier today. Alhaji Bawumia, the NPP flag bearer for 2028 elections, visited the former president. There you go. So with the entourage here, I can see in there at Kennedy, of course, Samira Bawumia shining the whole photograph greatly. John Kufuor sitting in the middle. Alhaji Mahamadou Bawumia, the next president of Ghana, sitting by a former president of Ghana. Akosua Menu of Adenta also featuring quite clearly there. Dr. Dubofour, Dr. Kufuor's senior aide and assistant is also in there. And I see Dr. Bawumia and I see George Chumesi as well. Do we have more photographs? Yes, we do. Now, this is a good one. The photograph will come back, isn't it? Yes, so we're going to have the photograph come back here as we look at Dr. Bawumia's visit to President Agyekum Kufuor. So this was another photograph of the two of them. Was it two or three of them? Now four, actually. President Kufuor seated. The next one is Mahamadou Bawumia shaking hands with President Kufuor. And now I think the goodbyes are being said. And then they left President Kufuor's place. This was the entourage that visited the former president. And then from there, Mahamadou Bawumia went to, incidentally, the MPP have two living former presidents. The NDC have a current existing sitting president, but unfortunately, Flight Lieutenant Rawlings, who was president for the NDC, and Professor J.A. Mills, who was president for the NDC, both unfortunately passed to eternal glory. Even though President Kufuor is older than both of them, President Kufuor is still alive and happy and hearty with us. Even though Nana Akufo-Addo is the same age as Professor Mills, but older than Flight Lieutenant Rawlings, he's still alive and very happily with us. So from there, the Bawumia entourage moved to visit with Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo. The video will show where you see them arriving at Nana Addo's office and in Laboni over here. Yes, that's there. Bawumia entourage meeting former Minister for Information, Nite Kotego, and I like the hag. Nite Kotego, they call him Cyber. That is Nana-Addo. Nana-Addo is always excited to see political people who are working on the same side with him. There's Mahamudu Bawumia in Nana-Addo's office talking to him today, chatting with him. I'm sure he's telling him that you made it, you won, you got it. That's Samira Bawumia in warm embrace with Nana-Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo. Nana-Addo then shows them to the sitting area where the entourage take their seats. Two of them sit in front of Nana-Addo. That's Dr. Bawumia and his wife. Akosua Menu and the other senior aides take their positions in Nana-Addo's office. This is a real good shot of it. I'm sure Nite Kotego organized that one. So yeah, Samira Bawumia, behind him, of course, is Nana-Addo's aide, former parliamentary candidate, Fawaz. And this is Akufo. He's always laughing. He's always laughing. That's Fawaz in your shot. I don't know what they said. Akosua Menu here, clearly in the shot. Adenta, incoming MP for Adenta. And this is Kasmel, who is also the senior aide to Nana-Addo. Mahamudu Bawumia sharing some thoughts with Akufo-Addo and collecting all the encouragement that he can get to deal with it. Okay, so that's at the end, and that's another warm embrace from. Yes. After that, the police entourage that worked on the election met with the NPP Elections Committee. That's the activity for today. I'm just sharing with you. Those of you who have been very busy and do not know what happened today, I'm just sharing with you what happened today. So the police people were visited by the NPP leadership, who had called on the police to support the Congress, and it looked like a beautiful, excellent job had been done by COP Yohonu, who is the Inspector General of Police here in your shot on the touch screen with Joe Osei-Wusu. They call him Joe Wise, a former first Deputy Speaker of Parliament for many, many years, a member of Parliament, is now the chairman of the election committee that put together that fantastic, peaceful and excellent election on Saturday that elected Mahamudu Bawumia as the flag bearer of the NPP. There is the team of the election committee members who went through, who went to see visits with the IGP and get share their gratitude with the police service. And then after that, the NPP have seemed to have moved straight into the market to begin the orientation to rebrand the party and get the party back into the good books of the people. They will show you the photographs very soon, but these here they are. Aha! So the NPP were in the market to do some health screening. It looks like the campaign has really started. There was some health screening in Makola Market today with NPP's loyal ladies, with some medics going around and screening the women for high blood pressure and all of that, health screening them and recommending them to health facilities. This was in the heat of Makola Market. They went there. You can see this lady over here trying to check the blood pressure of our old ladies in the market. So it looks like the campaign has started. It looks like it's going to be interesting. The NPP were in the market already. Now, tonight we're going to speak to a prophet from London as well, because we can't complete the conversation on this NPP situation without talking about prophecy and what prophecy has meant. We all know that it was here on Good Evening Ghana that the famous interview of Bernard Nelson Eshun, a man in whom I'm very well pleased, occurred. Nelson Eshun said that Kennedy Agyapong was going to win. We said it so many times, and Kennedy Agyapong did not win. Thereafter, he issued a public apology, and it's being discussed on social media. Tonight, we have an interview with a pastor who predicted that Mahamudu Bawumia was going to win by 56%. And Mahamudu Bawumia got 56%. What does it mean? Should we take him serious? I have taken a view about this berating of the pastor, because you see, there were some pastors who got it right and some pastors got it wrong. There were pollsters who got it right and there were pollsters who got it wrong. There are pollsters who always get it wrong. The best pollsters get it wrong. Not too long ago in 2018 in America, the biggest prediction that there was going to be a red wave in the midterm elections, it didn't happen. There was absolutely no red wave. All the important pollsters in America predicted a red wave and it didn't happen. So, well, pollster in England, if you look at the history, there's been the election that John Major won in 1992. It was predicted widely by the pollsters that John Smith was going to win. The results came, John Smith did not win. It was John Major who won. So yeah, so that was way back though, in 1992. So we'll be talking to two pastors here tonight, and I'll also be reading something that Sonny Badu wrote about Bernard L. Bernard. Let's shift the attention now to my two persuaders on this Kotoka, the whole Kotoka situation. So this is General E.K. Kotoka, the man who was named after the man after whom the airport was named, and which today has been removed to Accra Airport. And there's something small that we want to say. What has happened today, viewers, is an effort of Nkrumahist who have wanted, and I've always made the point, Nkrumahist who want the name of Kotoka removed from the airport because it was Kotoka who overthrew Nkrumah. But you see, history is very interesting. And history that is not documented is also very interesting because we don't feel, the generation who were born after 1975, do not feel what the people of Ghana felt between 1962 and 1966 when Kotoka did the coup. When the coup occurred, there was a very popular coup across Ghana. Now, the videos you see is the day on which the airport was named after E.K. Kotoka. And this is the new terminal that had been built by the people at the time, and Kotoka was killed over there. Kotoka is a man from the Volta region. Okay, so let me get back to the story. Now, this is an effort from the NDC, Nkrumahist people, who feel that Kotoka is the nemesis of Nkrumah, that you can speak about Kwame Nkrumah in all the terms that you can, in all the positive terms that you can, but you will realize that when it comes to the overthrow, it's stuck in the history of Nkrumah. It's stuck out as one of the very negative down points of Nkrumah, very low points of Nkrumah, because it portrays Nkrumah as a non-democratic leader. Because the narrative from the coup is that there was no democracy in Ghana, his finance minister has run away. I mean, can you imagine a Ghana where ministers of the government are running away for their lives? This is the stark reality of the Nkrumah era, that we were not there, and the history has not been documented in broad terms. And they say we shouldn't study history in school. So we don't study history in school in Ghana anymore. Throughout the NDC, PNDC, NDC time, we don't study history in school in Ghana. So we all don't know, except for those who take an interest in it. Now, the situation in Ghana was that nearly 1/3 of the members of parliament had run away for fear of their lives. Under the dictatorship of Osagyefo Dr. Kwame Nkrumah, many people were committed to prison. And many members of parliament had run away. We couldn't even hold a parliamentary election. And the flag of Ghana had been changed to the CPP flag. The anthem of Ghana had been changed. All of these things happened. All of these things happened. And it was these things that led to the coup. So the undemocratic credentials of the Osagyefo, which raw itself out in 1961 to the coup time, is sort of blemishes the whole Nkrumah winning independence for Africa and for Ghana and all of that. It blemishes this a little bit. And Kotoka is the name that reminds everybody of that incident. So the Nkrumahist, the Kwame Nkrumah people, have always wanted to remove Kotoka from it. The other point which worries me is that we will have to set up an aspirational society. And that's why when you go to America, every monument is named after somebody. There's nothing in America that's not named after nothing. There's nothing in England that's not named after nobody. Everything is named after somebody. So that the young people will ask, who is that somebody? And then that somebody is somebody who must have had an exemplary life. And then we can learn from it. Oliver Cromwell, he overthrew the government in England. He cut off the head of the king. But because that's history, in spite of its violence, is what realigned the UK society. Today, if you go to Europe, it's only the UK society that continues to maintain their monarchy. Monarchies were all over. Every European state had a monarchy. Today, they are all there, but they are dormant. It's only the UK monarchy that stands tall because of the lessons that were learned from Oliver Cromwell. So Oliver Cromwell conducted a coup, cut off the head of the king. But because of the lessons that were learned out of that, they put Oliver Cromwell's statue at the Parliament House. The same thing that Oliver Cromwell came to overthrow, democracy, the symbol of democracy, the legislature. That's where Oliver Cromwell's statue is. That suggests of a thinking people. Why do they do that? Because they are thinking. We want the children to ask, who is Kotoka? And then they say that he's a freedom fighter. He's the one who took up the gun to restore democracy to Ghana. That's what Kotoka is. You can look at it any other way. Kotoka is not Rawlings. Kotoka is the one who overthrew the government because the government was taking democracy away from the people. That's what Kotoka did. Kotoka is not Rawlings who overthrew an elected government. Rawlings overthrew a government that had been elected. They elected only 2 years, so he took a gun and overthrew them. He is a hero. Kotoka, who restored freedom and restored democracy, is not a hero. He's not a hero because some people who are thinking in a certain way think that he's a nemesis of their antecedents, and therefore they have to remove his name from anywhere. Kotoka is an Ewe from the Volta region. And the Ewes cherish him, don't they? Now, he comes from Alakpele in the Keta district. Alakpele is where Kotoka comes from. Alakpele in the Keta district, that's where Kotoka is from. And I'm not sure whether the NDC people have asked their supporters how they feel about this, about how the man from Alakpele's name should be yanked off a national monument like the airport and remain it as Accra Airport. Many people support it. But the reason why I don't support it is that we have to create an aspirational society. The International Conference Center must be named after somebody who is Ebose. Then we learn about Ebose. Pa Grant. Who is Pa Grant? Pa Grant something. Then we learn about Pa Grant. Then we go on and get the young people, 17-year-olds, to have that aspiration, like the way they learn about George Washington, and they have aspiration. We can learn about Kwame Nkrumah and pick up some aspiration. We can learn about Buzi and pick up some aspiration. We can learn about people who are not even political. We can learn about the young women, those who created Share Butter something in the northern region. That's what this whole Founders Day conversation was about. So that we can create an aspirational society, as it is. The Nkrumahs of the day, most of them have hijacked the NDC. The NDC is an Nkrumahs thing. And the Nkrumahs of the day have hijacked it, and they have young Kotoka's name from the airport. But history will continue to record it, and we see what happens. So that's my two persuasions on the Kotoka. I see now we have it's Kotoka International Airport. We're going to be cancelling Kotoka and put Accra International Airport there. I saw a member of parliament, Asifwa, who was saying that they should disclose how much taxpayers' money is going to be used to do the name change. But that's also very important. Why the name change? What is the point about the name change? If you are putting somebody's name there, then you have to explain that you are creating this aspiration for the person. But you are yanking somebody's name off. What is the purpose? And it's going to cost the taxpayer to yank that thing off. Taking Kotoka off the airport's name is going to cost money. Do you have that money? Today they say that the people at the university are on strike. They don't have money. But we're going to spend money to go to the airport and remove Kotoka and put Accra there. And some contractor is going to get the contract. Some PR company are going to get a contract. Contract is going to go to PPA. They're going to pay and pay and pay. Some people will buy a house from it. Some people will do something from it. Some people will buy a car from it. And it's all state money. And this is what we do every time. 4 years after 4 years, this is what we do. And then we are eroding the gains of democracy, gradually eroding it with our own ego, our own pomposity, and our own over politics of everything. Everything is political. So, Uncle Kotoka, sorry, Efo, sorry, they took your name off. I salute you. Well, it's now 9 minutes past 10 o'clock, and it's time for us to go to the social media people, and then we take a break. When we come back, we are ready with the interviews. First of the prophecies. Well, when we come back, I think we'll do the mathematical analysis, and then we go to the prophecy interview. So, Prophet Abeku is in London. He's waiting for us. All right. What are they saying on social media? Let's come to. Should we start with Fatih first? Yeah.
All right. Thank you, Paul. So, this is coming from Wilberforce Kobina, and he says, and if Equator clearly mentioned those on boards are exempted because they are not full-time workers or employees. Danso Abim says, please, the advertisement cycle takes over entire screen. Okay, we're going to work on that. Kandapa says, let me congratulate Dr. Bawumia and his dedicated campaign team, including George Kwate and Richard Jemfi, on their endeavors. The visible fear and panic gripping NDC communicators whenever Dr. Bawumia is mentioned speak volumes about their prospects, despite their attempts to put up a brave front and placate their supporters. It's clear that the NDC faces an uphill battle ahead, culminating in defeat in 2028. Nonetheless, victory remains within reach with Dr. Bawumia at the helm. Junior Akbar Tamale says, we have done our own, we know our flag bearer. When it's time for NDC, everybody will see the way and manner they will be attacking each other boots for boots. We thank God we did our own peaceful, and DMB has won, and we're waiting patiently till 2028 elections, victory is going to be ours. Z Hatch says this government thinks governance is just about renaming because I personally don't know the benefits of changing the name to Accra International Airport to the country. Kandapa says, let me congratulate Dr. Bawumia. And lastly, coming from Atingo Agoga says, how about Chief of Staff and their deputies? Do they have to resign if they want to contest? Answer back.
Okay, thank you very much, Fatih. Coming from Sugri Jonas, he says, good evening, Mr. Paul. Let me take a moment to congratulate our new flag bearer for the 2028 election. For his resounding victory, we pray for unity and purpose and brighter days ahead. It is indeed possible. Junior Akbar from Tamale says, we congratulate our new flag bearer and the incoming president of Ghana. DMB shall be our next president, inshallah. Idrisu Moro says, Paul is always making my day. Sugi Jonas again says, DMB's path to victory elections 2028 is clear and will come from his vision and clear-cut policies. Master Planner from Kintampo says, I can see and feel the fear and panic in the NDC communicator's voice and eyes whenever they mention the Dr. Bawumia's name. They have already started consoling themselves and the NDC supporters with toffee-coated words. Defeat awaits them in 2028, inshallah. It is possible with DMB. Okay, he then says, congratulations to Dr. Bawumia and the entire campaign team, especially George Kwatin and Richard Jimfi. Coming from Eli Obama from Tamale, he says, good evening, Mr. Paul. Please accept my congratulations to those who trusted us and believed in Dr. Bawumia's vision. We worked diligently to secure a resounding victory in the last Saturday's election. The peaceful nature of the election was a clear signal that the NPP is set to return stronger and more resilient. And lastly, coming from Junior Akbar, he says, I want to take this opportunity to congratulate our new flag bearer and our next president of Ghana, Dr. Alhaji Bawumia. We believe in him and we pray to the Almighty Allah to give him long life. He shall become the President of the Republic of Ghana. Over to you, Paul.
Okay, thank you very much. Now we are getting into the analysis of what is Bawumia's path to victory in the next election, 2028, and what is the representation of the 56%, 57% that Dr. Bawumia got in the last election. We'll take 10 minutes to go and crunch the numbers and create an equation. And after that, we'll conduct the interviews with the pastors on the prophecy. I'm sure you'll be waiting for that. This is Good Evening Ghana. It's live. We'll be back after the break.
Watch it, not learning. Missy, watch and learn. Makwaya besisia. Abozing. I can say no ya konati and the more drink woman. Hey, but I didn't mean. Oh, sorry. She knew her old days. Eddie, Dabio, baby womb. Ready? Hey, baby womb. Ah, Eddie. I'll cause some discomfort.
Uncle!
Sorry, well, uncle, where would the dad? Why your funeral?
Say a Pesori insecticide GB at a user. Co pharmacy in a shop biamu. Namum say a pharmacy supermarket and a shop ra. Na repedudu to a cotonwa. On for Royal Dutch and our Aerofield Trading. FE spray with Daimwa. Change.
In my line of work, a confident smile is everything. Kale Charcoal Toothpaste keeps me on top of my game and ensures my smile is always radiant and bright.
With the tiring nature of my job, we spend several hours under the scorching sun. To keep our teeth white and our breath fresh all the time, we use none other than Kale Charcoal Toothpaste. Kale Charcoal Toothpaste. You're on a Kessie and then a kit one.
Samayo Kendini, a who be here, Semetra Sapapadia to a mammy man for Kel Chacos natural ingredients, and a bomb is so buying, a man is swing, and a sansu mama hoto so a will bedroom.
Kel Charcoal Toothpaste. Choose Kel Charcoal Toothpaste for anti-cavity, whiter teeth, and fresher breath all day. Available in 80 gram and 150 gram. Grab yours today.
Kel, happy smile. This advert is FDA approved.
Chicken, cow and chicken.
He's back again, children. The children president is back, and I'm back for good. To God be the glory. Guess what? Now on Original TV and Metro TV, time for rest. Something amazing is coming for you, children. You've been idle for nothing. Now you have something to do. The children president is back with Time with the Children President on Metro TV and Original TV. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel, Funny Face Official, and make sure you tune into Metro TV every weekend and Original TV as well. Your life will never be the same. You've been through a lot.
Now we're chicken, now we're chicken.
Get ready to splash into love this Valentine's season. Join the Campus Red Pool Party on Friday, 13th February 2026 at the Bayview Village, Atomic Junction. Rates is 60 cedis for singles and 100 Ghana cedis for couples. Time is 4 p.m. sharp. Come in your red bikinis for the ladies and red shorts for the gentlemen. Don't miss out on the fun, games and vibes. Campus Red Pool Party. Love is in the air.
In every school, there is history. In every homecoming, there is pride. But in 2025, pride became competition. From convoys that shook the streets to colors worn with honor, from powerful reunions to legacy projects that will stand forever. Metro TV asked one bold question: which school truly owned the legacy in 2025? Welcome to School's Homecoming 2025. Who is who? Send your school name, convoy videos, speech and prize giving highlights, and your 2025 legacy projects to 0550 090 702. School's Homecoming, my school, my pride. This event is sponsored by Zoom Lion and Appointed Time Printing. School's Homecoming 2025 is a Metro TV event supported by Original TV, Original 91.9 FM, and Metro Digital.
The president is back, and I'm back for good. To God be the glory. Guess what? Now on Original TV and Metro TV, time for rest. Something amazing is coming for you, children. You've been idle for nothing. Now you have something to do. The children president is back with Time with the Children President on Metro TV and Original TV. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel, Funny Face Official, and make sure you tune into Metro TV every weekend and Original TV as well. Your life will never be the same. You've been through a lot.
Now we're chicken, now we're chicken.
This week, Unbeaten said,
Baby, I'm a free band of the boys and say, half a loaf, you'd be unfortunate. Nobody gives a Yenya spaghetti kurampo akela kuchepantwe. More money, more problems. When I say we seek out any problem. Problem be na change say kapra nu hu adwindwin ti wakade. Kapra nu hu adwindwin ti wakade.
Anantu ya mu na dakul area bilibi mikonya anyonko ofrija to bi also ofi UK mumbra mu bete na ano na brofo mepade boda ekulibi opiedi Manson Elephant bibi Alonson beka me yakwa me nkroma onyama nkote na me won krofo
Beat and sub set that beat. What you talking about? That's it.
A journey of 1,000 miles begins with a step.
The journey continues, but becoming that phenomenal lady doesn't happen in a day.
It takes courage and refusing to settle for less.
This season on the PL Show, it gets much more diverse.
engaging, and impactful. This is the PL Show.
We paint the perfect picture of pain, sleepless nights, hard work, and of course, the ultimate breathtaking view from the mountaintop. Success.
Successful ladies from all walks of life doing amazing things and positively effective change in their respective fields.
And as you know, we share all these with you, our ardent follower, to help you navigate that journey and also come out strong and phenomenal.
This is the PL Show.
It's brought to you by Kale Charcoal, Kale 360, and Kale Kids Toothpaste.
Okay, so it's 23 minutes past 10 o'clock. Let's get onto the touchscreen and do something important. The figures achieved by Mahamadou Bawumia, 57%, was less than 60% he got the last time. So there was concern, and his opponents have been saying that he got a lower mark, and therefore he'll get the first mark translated into something in the main election, and then this one is also translating into something lower in the main election. But let's look at them. Let's crunch the numbers. You know, there's a saying that if you torture the numbers, they'll confess. So let's torture the numbers and see what confessions we get. So this is Bosome Freho in 2023 and Bosome Freho in 2026. Now, before I say that, I'd like you to know that Dr. Bawumia had won actually more Ashanti constituencies than he did the last time. And we have isolated these constituencies because these were the places where he performed quite low in the 2023 event. Let's look at them now. So in Bosome Freho, for instance, in 2023, Kennedy Japan is getting 50.5%, whilst Mahamadou Bawumia is getting 49%. So these are 2023 results. Kennedy Japan gets 50%, Mahamadou Bawumia gets 49% in an Ashanti constituency, one of the powerful ones called Bosome Freho. Then in 2026, the last one, Dr. Bawumia is increasing his percentage to 72%, whilst Kennedy Japan depreciates from 50 to 13% in Bosome Freho. So if you look at, and this trend sort of continues in many parts, we have a few more to show you. This is Bantama, the famous Bantama that you know. In Bantama, in 2023, Kennedy Japan got 48%, Dr. Bawumia gets 50%, and Bawumia wins in Bantama. But see what happens in 2026. Kennedy Japan comes down to 36.6%, and Mahamadou Bawumia shoots up from 50% to now 56.95% in Bantama, of all places in the heart of Ashanti. Dr. Bawumia's popularity among the delegates of the MPP is increasing in Bantama, it's increasing in Bosome Freho, and altogether in Ashanti, it's increased significantly to now he won 45 of constituencies out of the 47, which was not the case the last time. Kumewu, another very strong Ashanti constituency. In Kumewu in 2023, Kennedy Japan has 49.0%, and Mahamadou Bawumia, who wins in 2023 in Kumewu, gets 51.0%. Now, Dr. Bawumia wins again, but see what happens to the numbers then. In 2026, Kennedy Japan comes down from 49.0% to 19.7%, 77% in 2026 in Kumewu. Dr. Bawumia is appreciating from 51.0% to 64% 0.65% in Kumewu. So you see the examples in Bosome Freho, in Kumewu, in Bantama, and you will get the real appreciation. And we choose Ashanti because that's the hotbed of the MPP politics. The MPP stronghold is Ashanti region. And even Ashanti region, you want to know the popularity of the candidates, you want to know the momentum, then you will look at the way in which the figures are changing from 2023 to 2026, given the situation of the same candidates. And you will see that Dr. Bawumia is increasing his popularity in the nooks and crannies of Ashanti. Let's see whether there's another example. Here is New Edubiase. Now, in New Edubiase, you will see that Kennedy Japan comes down. Everyone comes down in New Edubiase, but you see that the stretch of Kennedy Japan from 53 to 33 is higher than Dr. Bawumia from 45 to 40. That's what you see in New Edubiase. New Edubiase appeared to have had a lower voter turnout, and it was a seat that Kennedy Japan had won, actually. He had won it in 2023 with 53.59%, and Dr. Bawumia had 45.0%. New Edubiase was won by Kennedy Japan in 2023. Then in 2026, Kennedy Japan comes from 53.9% to 33.22%, and Dr. Bawumia also comes down from 45%, but is winning on 40% in New Edubiase. It flipped. This is one of the places that flipped that way. Look at Formina, also in Ashanti, in the Obuasi area. 2023, Kennedy Japan does huge, 65.3% in Formina. And then Dr. Bawumia gets 34.1% in Formina. Come to 2026, and let's torture the numbers. Kennedy Japan comes from 65.3% in Formina to 33.87% in Formina. And Dr. Bawumia is now moving from 34% in a losing position to now winning an overwhelming majority at 53.87%. That's phenomenal. That's interesting. And that happened in many places. Formina, New Edubiase, Kumewu, Bantama, and Bosome Freho. So this is the situation of how you can see that at least in Ashanti, and we'll be showing you Eastern region as we go along on other subsequent programs. We'll show you Eastern region, we'll show you Greater Accra region. Those are the two big places. We'll show you Volta region, and then you will begin to see what we mean by that. But in addition to all this, let's look at the national outlook and see whether we can show you if Dr. Bawumia has any reasonable path to the presidency of 2028. Now, this is the national outlook. This is 2020's election. I'd like you to look at the numbers. Again, we're going to torture the numbers and they'll confess to us. 2020 presidential election. Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, the eventual winner of the presidential election, won by 51.30%. 51.30%. What do I have? 2020 presidential election. No. 2024. Your 2020 presidential election has a problem. You have the same for both candidates. It doesn't work. Let me take a short break. I'll come back and then we'll change the figures. I'll come back. Let's take a short break. Let's put. You can put the. Can we take a break? Just a short break. You can put any video there. Let's look at this.
Make no mistake. President Attah Ofori is an individual whose documented identity is inconsistent, whose legal claim of marriage is directly contradicted by her own official declarations, and whose actions have resulted in immeasurable harm. After one of Lumba's visits to Germany and returned to Ghana in 2014, headlines declared that Mrs. Akosua-Serwa Fosu had attempted to poison her husband. But how could Mrs. Akosua-Serwa Fosu have done that when she was in Germany and that Lumba was in Ghana? Their mission was to ruin her reputation at all costs. They caused great stress for Mrs. Akosua-Serwa Fosu, which caused her to live in perpetual fear in Germany. She feared that people would be aggressive and even harm her. For years, Mrs. Akosua-Serwa Fosu wore a hoodie outside at all times as she was recognized as his wife. By 2018, Mrs. Akosua-Serwa Fosu was even too fearful to attend her late mother's burial, prompting her sister-in-law, Ma Bimpoma, to travel to Ghana with her. Daddy Lumba conducted the funeral rite for Mrs. Akosua-Serwa Fosu, murder, alongside the rest of the family at the burial site. He never divorced Mrs. Akosua Serwaah Fosu. Honorable people, press, and citizens, gather here. Ask yourself, what legacy did Daddy Lumba build with Priscilla after their path crossed? Make no mistake, Priscilla Tah Ofori is an individual whose documented identity is inconsistent, whose legal claim of marriage is directly contradicted by her own official declarations, and whose actions have resulted in immeasurable harm. After one of Lumba's visits to Germany and returned to Ghana in 2014, headlines declared that Mrs. Akosua Serwaah Fosu had attempted to poison her husband. But how could Mrs. Akosua Serwaah Fosu have done that when she was in Germany and Daddy Lumba was in Ghana? Their mission was to ruin her reputation at all costs. They caused great stress for Mrs. Akosua Serwaah Fosu, which caused her to live in perpetual fear in Germany. She feared that people would be aggressive and even harm her. For years, Mrs. Akosua Serwaah Fosu wore a hoodie outside at all times as she was recognized as his wife. By 2018, Mrs. Akosua Serwaah Fosu was even too fearful to attend her late mother's burial, prompting her sister-in-law, Ma Bimpoma, to travel to Ghana with her. Daddy Lumba conducted the funeral rite for Mrs. Akosua Serwaah Fosu, mother, alongside the rest of the family at the burial site. He never divorced Mrs. Akosua Serwaah Fosu. Honorable people, press, and citizens, gather here. Ask yourself, what legacy did Daddy Lumba build with Priscilla after their path crossed?
Please leave him alone, leave him alone, leave him alone. But let's get back to our story. We were sorry for that interruption there. The figures I put there were not accurate, so I just changed it. Okay, so now back to the story. So this is these are the numbers for 2020's elections, and we also have the numbers for 2024's elections. We're going to touch out the numbers and see what confessions we obtain. 2020's presidential election is won by Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo. Now, he gets 6,730,587 total votes cast in his favor on voting day. That represented, in the final calculation, 51.302% of the votes went to Nana Addo. He won a first-round victory. John Dramani Mahama, his closest challenger and former president at the time, also obtained 6,213 votes, 182, representing at the time 47.359%. So this is the presidential election results of 2020. Keep an eye on this figure. Keep an eye on the figure of Akufo-Addo. 6,730,587. This is what Akufo-Addo is getting to win the election at 51%, 6.7 million. Okay, switch to presidential election 2024. What does John Dramani Mahama get? He wins the election by 56.42%, huge margin. But look at the figure. He gets 6,591,790. John Mahama is almost 200,000 short of Akufo-Addo's winning number in 2020's elections. For you to put this in proper perspective, remember that the total voter population from 2020 to 2024 had the new 18-year-olds adding onto it, and the Electoral Commission record shows that they added 1.9 million voters onto the voting list. So with 1.9 million voters added onto the voting list from 2020 to 2024, the winning candidate yet is getting lower figure than Akufo-Addo got. What are we saying? If Mahamudu Bawumia were to repeat what Akufo-Addo got in 2020, he had won the election. That's a reality. That's a numbers reality. The percentage speaks of a story, but these are the reality of the numbers. That whatever John Mahama got to win the last election, which was a huge margin, which was 1.something million difference between he and Dr. Bawumia, it was still short of Akufo-Addo's 2020 electoral figures, which was voted upon. It means a lot, and we're going to be looking at what it means. And this is how you can see that Dr. Bawumia's path to the presidency is not complicated at all. His path to the 2008 presidency is not complicated. John Dramani Mahama, the eternal NDC candidate since 2012, will not be on the ballot at this time. The NDC will have a new person. It's almost looking certain that it will be Johnson Asiedu Nketia, the chairman of the party today. He will be on the ballot for the NDC. Now, if you look at the figures here, it tells you that Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia's path to the presidency can be strategically plotted. He needs to get out there to Ashanti region and get the people out to vote. He needs to be sure that the 800,000 people of Christo Asafo, Adjo Asafo's people, there are 800,000 of them. Most of them are MPP voters because of their father Kojo Safo. And their father Kojo Safo's business was bastardized. The GRA had locked something. So nearly 800,000 people of Christo Asafo decided that if you are treating our father the way you are treating him after all the help that he has given to MPP, then we are not interested in election 2024. There were other different kinds. There was also a Seventh-day Adventist church. Seventh-day Adventist church protested that you cannot hold the election on Saturday. If you hold the election on Saturday, our members will not vote. How many were the Seventh-day Adventist church? There are a lot, plenty, and more than 1 million. Is it true that they didn't vote? I don't know, but it looks like that happened. So strategically, if you look at the figures from 2020's election in terms of the MPP's figures, 6.7 is what the MPP got in 2020. In 2024, the NDC that won the election got 200,000 less after adding 1.9 million people. After adding 1.9 million people to the electoral roll, the winning NDC candidate for 2024 still got less than Ado Dankwa Akufo-Addo got in 2020. So that if the MPP had maintained what they got in 2020, they win the election. So the 2024 has been a very awkward election. The statistics are not working together the same unless you torture the numbers and then they'll confess to you that this is the reality of 2024. If you look at that, then there could be a strategic way in which, inshallah, Mahamudu Bawumia can win. Let's have the MPP song.
We shall win. We shall win. Come on. The elephant is a winning symbol. We shall win. Come on. To save Ghana. We shall win. To save Ghana. We shall win. To save Ghana. The elephant is a winning symbol. We shall win. We shall win to save Ghana. Oh, the elephant is a winning symbol. We shall win. Come on. Save Ghana. Here we go. Joe Boy. Joe Boy. Joe Boy. Hey. Are you ready? Kukudu. Wave your flags. Can I see you wave your flags out there? Wave it. Wave it. Wave it. Here we go. Hey, she is. Oh. Hey, she is. You don't step. Hey, she is. Oh. Hey, she is. Hey, she is. Oh. Hey, she is. Yeah. Hey, she is. Hey, she is. Handkerchiefs. Hey, she is. Yeah. Hey, she is. Hey, she is. Yeah. Hey, she is. Hey, she is. And I want to say, God bless you all. Respect.
We'll be looking at the numbers as time goes on, but now we have a Zoom interview about prophecies, and I'm sure that you are waiting for that interview. I have with the Reverend Military Captain Abeku. He's in England. I'm going to go to him in a minute. Before that, though, let's hear what social media is saying about the numbers game. Answer by you first, what are people saying?
Thank you very much, Paul. Coming from Wilberforce, Kobina, he says, Paul, a pollster conducts surveys and comes out with results. If a pastor says God spoke to him, that a candidate will win, it has to be right, because God does not lie. This should tell you that God didn't speak to El Bernard, as he boldly claimed in the media. Said says, a few days after the NPP's decisive win, and it feels like months. No qualms, no issues, no swearing and cursing, In those 3 days, one of the fiercest internal critics of the party has already flown home to assist in our rebirth. Dr. Bawumia is unity personified. Friend says, we will forever call it Kotoka International Airport. Even Ghana says, the most important thing is my favorite candidate won, in God we trust. Amadou says, congratulations to Dr. Bawumia. However, if he wants to win in the 2028 elections, he has to partner up with Dr. Brian Champon. Bayan says, I can see potential win for the NPP in Ghana. A win for one of the major parties depends on their unity. And lastly, coming from Hussein Iguno, he says, it's clearly shown that 2028 is going to be a great election for Dr. Bawumia and the NPP. His winning margin has increased from 23% in 2023 to 33% in 2026. His popularity has soared. Whoever the NDC will bring will suffer defeat. Let's win with Bawumia. Over to you, Fatim.
All right, thank you, Ansiba. Ernest Shum says, I have said on several platforms that to keep NPP together, the person with the highest post going to get the president's position, the second, the vice president to bring his followers to the campaign, train, and the same as the third aspirant for chief of staff. Abna Gifty says, imagine this change of Kotika's name is happening under NPP's government. You will see how the whole of Volta region, including chiefs and political leaders like Ablakwa and Co, will behave in this country. But today, they are not talking because it's being done by their government. Hey, my people of Volta, is this the only way we understand politics? Mohammed Yusufa says, even Bawumia won many more constituencies, but the votes Bawumia lost in Ashanti is too significant to ignore. Only Ashanti over 2,500 votes lost, and Eastern almost 3,000 votes lost compared to 2023. That's worrying, especially in Ashanti. Dennis says, please, I want to know, is there any international airport in the world that is named after the state or the city? If there is, I want to know, and congrats to Dr. Bawumia for a resounding victory. Atta Adusei says NPP should unite because there is every likelihood that Bawumia will definitely become president because of the abysmal performance of this Mahama's government. Now the cocoa bought from farmers have not been paid. The 24-hour economy is not working and workers are suffering seriously. Bawumia, with wonderful political, financial and digital acumen, is only Ghanaians' hope. And lastly, coming from Junior Akbar, says, for the NDC, this is just the beginning. When there is time for them to choose their flag bearer, it will be everywhere, and we are watching them. But thank God, NPP is done with their own peacefully. Now back to you, Paul.
Okay, welcome back to the show. Let's get quickly onto our Zoom conversation now. And we are talking to Dr. Henry Godfrey Afful, who is also a military captain and who has dedicated his time to the work of God as well. Doc, good evening.
Good evening, my brother Paul. Great show as always. Great man.
Yeah, I know that you didn't publicly prophesy and all of that, but you have given me 2 or 3 prophecies that have come to pass. First one was that you said the NPP will win the 2020 elections, but they will take a hit in Parliament. Those were your words, that they will take a hit in Parliament. And when the results came, it was clear. You also said to me that Mahamadou Bawumia was going to be elected by a comfortable majority. And that also happened. But here in Ghana right now, we are dealing with a situation where Prophet El Bernard Nelson Eshen, one of the most respected prophets and still very well respected, had prophesied that Kennedy Japan was going to win the election. El Bernard spoke on this show after he had published a book which detailed the prophetic occurrences that will happen in Ghana between now and I think 2030 or so. So everyone is saying that El Bernard was not just wrong, but it was wrong for him to publish a prophecy. It was wrong for him to write a book about it. It was wrong for him to be speaking on radio about it. But here's El Bernard, who had also prophesied that President John Dramani Mahama was going to win the 2024 elections. Prophet El Bernard prophesied this in 2001. In January 2001, he prophesied that the election that was 3 years away will be won by John Dramani Mahama. At that time, John Mahama was not yet the flag bearer of the NDC for that election. He had also prophesied in 2016 that Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo was going to win the election. In fact, he had prophesied that Akufo-Addo was going to win by a margin that will be the biggest in the Fourth Republic. That also happened. To the extent that the 2026 election prediction of the MPP primaries did not happen, is Elbernard a false prophet?
Paul, thank you so much. As I said, great show as always. I've been watching your program and I'm really enjoying it. I would have loved to go into some of the intricacies of the prophetic ministry without necessarily zooming into one person. Quite recently, I had an interview, I think, on one of your stations in Ghana. And the Lord showed me very clearly, and there was a great burden within my spirit where I made a declaration that by the 31st of January this year, which is just the last Saturday gone, some of our prophets will, I just want to be a bit charitable with my words now. I'm not sure at the time I did the initial interview, I was, but some prophet will go through some sort of serious humiliation. And unfortunately, it turns out to be so. I know that you've given a very good description of the ministry of Prophet Elbernard, and I've seen on social media that people have been very charitable. People have reached out to him to give him the necessary support that he deserves. And in the same breath, I will like to also draw minds back that we did get a bit of a warning when in the last election, a very, very lovely gentleman by the name of Prophet Kwesi Boateng also gave a prophecy, which unfortunately did not turn out to be so. The two of them subsequently had gone on to apologize, which I think is a very good thing. But we need to look at the bigger picture. And I think the bigger picture is understanding that there are things that prophecy is meant to do. And some of the key things that prophecy is meant to do, prophecy is meant to call the church back to God. Whether it is foretelling, which is saying things in the future, or forthtelling, which is saying things of the now. In foretelling, we've seen how someone like Nathan goes to David and tells him what he was doing now, which was wrong. In foretelling, we've seen how Isaiah was able to prophesy the birth of Christ some 400 years before it did happen. And we can talk about Micah, we can talk about some of the other prophets and some of the things that happened. My concern has been in recent times that are we prophets becoming campaign managers? In other words, are we getting to the point where we're beginning to use our prophetic ministry to, as it were, in your face to campaign for one candidate or the other? I think that's where my concern is.
Yeah, so the evaluation of false prophets and genuine prophets, is it simply because there's people who have put out scripture to say that if a man of God tells you something will happen, it doesn't happen, that's a false prophet. People have also referred to the Old Testament where Isaiah had prophesied to the king, Hezekiah, and told him that God said that you were going to die. The story of the Bible tells us that it was God who told Isaiah to tell Hezekiah so. Hezekiah, upon hearing the prophets, then went to his altar and prayed. And God communicated, not through Isaiah, but through an angel, that Hezekiah was going to live for a longer period than which Isaiah had predicted. The scripture didn't go back to say what happened to Isaiah, what image did Isaiah get within the king's court, and all of that, because people may have heard that Isaiah came and told the old man that he was going to die. And the old man prayed to God, and God has extended it. So Isaiah cannot be a false prophet by no stretch of the imagination. This is the one who prophesied the birth of the Messiah. So, who is a false prophet when it comes to these things?
I'll come to that. First of all, let me just do a bit of exegesis on the scripture that you just quoted. So you're talking about this scripture, which is founded in the book of 2 Kings chapter 20. 2 Kings chapter 20. So anyone can actually look it up and see what I'm saying. Now, if you look at that, 2 Kings chapter 20, Isaiah receives a message in verse 1, goes to the king. I think the mistake, I've seen people quoting this scripture. I think, again, we are misquoting the whole thing. Isaiah's prophecy to Hezekiah was not made public. It was very private, and it was well delivered, without any encomiums, without any shenanigans, without any fuss. He delivered it just succinctly as the Lord had given to him. Now, the second thing that we also need to know, in that particular scripture, when he gave his prophecy, he was just about to leave. But the man of God, the king prayed to God. In verse 2, it says, he turned his face to the wall, he cried, and then he said to the Lord, I've preached this scripture in many times, remember me, O Lord. In other words, the king had done things for which the Lord had to remember. And we can go back again to 2 Kings chapter 18, and then you see the works of King Hezekiah rightly enumerated there. So the king had goodwill with God himself and empowerment. And that is what I think a lot of us, unfortunately, we are not teaching our churches. We're not empowering them. We are very comfortable to let our members keep coming to us. And that makes us like almost mini gods, demigods. I think it is wrong. But when he prayed, then the Lord came back to the prophet Isaiah, the same prophet, and said, go back and tell my servant the king that I, the Lord, have decided to add 15 more years to his life. All right. And that additional 15 more years was an indication that the Lord indeed had answered and God was going to heal him. And this is where I think we need to now juxtapose that with what we are doing now. If someone comes out to say that I've heard God, and I'm sure I've heard him X amount of times, and they say it with all the surety, trust me, you cannot put your ministry on the line. You cannot vouch for any candidate or any politician. Trust me, I love politicians. I love our people, but it's not worth your hard-earned ministry. Number two, let me give you another example. Do you know that when God spoke to Abraham, Abraham was a prophet by all standards, but he doesn't use the title prophet. God said to Abraham, go and kill your son Isaac. Go unto Mount Moriah and sacrifice your servant, your son Isaac. It wasn't not God that told him. He did that, bundled the boy together, got the sticks, got everything. When he was about to kill him, just when he drew out his dagger and about to stab him to death, then another voice spoke, which was the voice of God, which says, you shall not kill this lad, but I've provided for myself a ram which is in the thicket. Go and take that one. What am I saying here? Abraham could have gone ahead and said, God has spoken to me, and killed his own son and thinking that I've done it for God. When God speaks, we need to follow through. We need to listen, because, I mean, sometimes we've spoken and God has come back to tell us something different. Again, it shows good listening. It shows good relationship with God. Some of us have already said things about the election that is about to happen in 2028, but something can change. And when it changes, you must be sensitive enough to pick it, decode it properly, interpret it well, and relay that message back. It's very important.
But why, if you know something about 2028 election, how will it change? Why will it change? When God speaks, he changes it?
And that's where we're talking about here. And those are the instances I've given you. So that is where we said in the book of 2 Kings, God had spoken to Isaiah, and even before he left the outer court, another message came. I've given another example. God spoke to Abraham that go and kill Isaac, and just when he was about to draw his dagger to kill the son, God said, do not do that, because I, the Lord, have provided for myself a ram in the thicket. So the Bible says in Numbers 23 verse 19, it says, God is not a man that he should lie, nor the son of man that he should repent. Now, the core Greek word, the original translation of that word, to repent, also means to change your mind. So in other words, he's saying God does not change his mind. But certainly, in these two instances that I've given you, you've seen that there was a change of mind and the way God, in a way, dealt with his people. And that was because the king prayed and said, remember me, O Lord. So, and this is what sometimes I tell candidates and politicians. I said, look, if you rule and rule well, it does not matter what a prophet tells you. If God knows your heart, and the same way when I've heard people say, oh, Dr. Bawumia is a Muslim, he can never become a president and things like that. You never know the mind of God, because I've seen in the Bible when God uses people like Cyrus, God uses people like Darius, Cyrus, Nebuchadnezzar. I mean, Nebuchadnezzar was a Babylonian. That's present-day Iraq. You know, all these Ahasuerus and all these people that God used to build his kingdom, to support the building of the church. Some of them were Persian kings, and Persia is present-day Iran. So no one is God, and we must learn to follow through the voice of God when God is really speaking to us. And Paul, I want to draw attention to one scripture, just a quick one on this. I want to recommend this for every prophet that is listening to me and every Christian. You see, I have never heard a lot of prophets preaching this. If you're a prophet, please take your time and read the books of Jeremiah and the book of Ezekiel. These are two very powerful books. Even if you can't read it all, try and chew on Jeremiah chapter 28. Because in Jeremiah chapter 28, something happens. And that can actually help me answer the first question that you threw again, just to throw a bit more light on that. So there's a gentleman by the name of Hananiah, all right? So Hananiah, verse 1, chapter 28, verse 1, it says, and it came to pass that the same year, in the beginning of the reign of Zedekiah, king of Judah, in the 4th year, in the 5th month of the year, that Hananiah, the son of Uzzah, the prophet, please listen to this, which was of Gibeon, spake unto me and unto the people in the house of the Lord, in the presence of the priests and all of the people, saying, thus saith the Lord of hosts, the God of Israel. And the truth is that he used the name of God. Sometimes if you are not sure, say, I feel in my spirit. If you are wrong, you can come and apologize and we can understand, because you probably can get it wrong at times, and we all do get it wrong sometimes, okay? But he spoke, and it was very sure that it was the Lord speaking to him. Now, let's come to verse 15 of that same chapter. Then the Lord said to the prophet Jeremiah, unto Hananiah the prophet, hear now, Hananiah, the Lord had not sent thee, but thou makest the people to believe in a lie. How did he end up? In verse 16, he says, therefore saith the Lord, behold, I will cast thee off the face of the earth. It is a very serious thing. I am very, 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 sometimes I feel very heavy in my spirit when I watch some of our young guys, some prophets, making declarations and making certain statements, especially in the name of God. We've got to be very careful.
Okay, let me ask you a few questions from what people are sending me. One man says that I'm an ardent viewer of your program. Good evening. Good evening, Ghana. Hardly miss it. Says, I believe Reverend Dr. Henry Affle has nailed it. Our prophets now behave like campaign managers instead of prophesying and let God do his will. On the matter of Prophet El Bernard, I'm aware of your involvement in setting up the meeting of Prophet El Bernard and Natoshi. Okay, your actions led the prophets to blah, blah, blah. Okay, all right. I think there's a... so somebody likes...
It's not me, isn't it? They're not talking about me, they're my actions.
No, somebody likes what you are saying, that you have nailed it.
Okay, thank you.
They said that they think they have. But somebody wants me to ask you that. In the case of Hezekiah, after the 15 years was added, the Bible records that most of those 15 years were calamitous, chaotic, and it eroded almost everything that he had done for God. How then what perspective do we put on that?
And that's when we don't understand God. I mean, the sovereignty of God, the sovereign will of God, no man can understand. And sometimes as men of God, we've got to be very humble. If you ask me a question like this and I haven't got an answer, I haven't got an answer. But again, you could also understand the initial purpose of God, even to say that, look, I will not heal you at the time. Put your house in order, you will surely die. But then he put God to a test. He turned his face to the wall, cried, and he reminded God of the altars that he's built. He says, look at my track record. I cannot go like this. And God listened to him. And then we see what happens in there. So sometimes in the sovereign will of God, you cannot understand it. And that's why at times, just as you've said, you see, there are certain things, if you apply a lot of wisdom. Paul, you and I spoke, and you've already said it here, so I can just glean from that. Where I told you categorically, I have seen it differently. You did ask me as a friend and as a brother. I said, look, I've seen Dr. Baumia winning, and I said he will not be in the 60s. His margin will not be as he got the last time, but he'll be in the 50s. And that later, I won't go into any details more on that. And it came to pass. Even at the point, you said, do you mind saying it on air? And I said to you, Paul, this is meant to be private, and I'm going to keep it as such. I think, and the truth of the matter is, you see, some of the guys have already made their name, and people will see you, people will come and talk to you. If somebody comes, Prophet Henry, can you pray for me? Why not? I will do it. I mean, it was on your own program, and you can bear me witness that on the day, it was not even what we're going to discuss. When you asked me, God's Oracle, what do you say about 2024? And I said, I've heard people say that President Mohammed's time is over. He will not come back. His seat has been packed and all of that. I didn't see that. And you did ask me. And that's why I like punchy, very tough journalists like yourself. You were very specific. Is it you saying or it is God saying? I said, I heard God in my spirit telling me very clear that John Mohammed's time in the politics of Ghana is not over. He shall be back. After that point, I didn't grant any interview. People called me, can you elaborate on that? I didn't grant any interview because sometimes when you are very sure that God has spoken, you don't need to prove yourself. You have to leave everything to God in time to do that. But I think where we are crossing the line is we are becoming campaign managers. And I'm saying this again, that no politician is worth exchanging the message of the cross, the redemption through which God uses the prophetic ministry to bring life and enlightenment to people. They are not worth you and I swapping that ministry blessing for any campaign team. It's not worth it.
Wow, that's interesting. Okay, we'll leave it here. Dr. Aful reaching us all the way from the United Kingdom in London. Thank you very much. And when you are in town, please come into the studio and give us some more teachings on how the prophetic works in politics.
Thank you so much, Paul. As always, great show. Thank you, your producers and your teams for all the great job that you're doing. God bless you, and then God bless Good Evening Ghana. God bless our homeland Ghana and make us great and strong.
Thank you very much, Prophet. Now, that's interesting. The Doc, what do you make of that? How do you summarize this whole prophetic into this whole politics? Does it happen in America as well?
Well, not. I think they deal more with data and less with prophecies. But when it comes to...
But they go to be prayed for, especially the Republicans.
Yes, the Republicans do. And because America is basically a Christian nation, I mean, the Republicans depend a lot on the evangelical vote because their values are based on biblical principles, are based on principles in the Bible and all of that. So once you have a certain, you resonate with the Christian or the evangelical voters, you have a step in. I mean, don't forget that on their currency they have In God We Trust. The founding fathers, you know, they used to have the 10 Commandments in their school, and they've always laid claim or pride to being a Christian nation. And so it was one of the things that Donald Trump latched on to, to win votes. They came up with the vote to, I mean, not the vote, but the policy of banning certain countries from certain Islamic people from Islamic countries from coming in there. So, I mean, basically it's a Christian nation, and a lot of the values that they espouse are very well aligned. But at the end of the day, we don't see people prophesying the way that we see over here.
Okay, let's come to the PR point. And how do you see Dr. Bawumia's political communication right now? He has 3 years, to maybe 2 years, 10 months to run an election. This is the first time in the Fourth Republic that a candidate has been given that length of time ahead of a presidential election. It's an MPP innovation.
Yes.
And so he has enough time to work on a lot of things. And he is a candidate coming from an electoral defeat the last time. So he really has to pull out the votes in his base. He has to work on tag of liar. He has to rebrand of sorts. But he has time, and he's intellectually astute in that regard. How do you see it from a political communications viewpoint?
Yes, there's the political communication part, and then which cannot be divulged from the general party politics perspective. And one of the things that, and it's a very urgent thing, the very first and urgent and crucial thing he needs to do is to unite and rebuild the party. And then, of course, that ties into the political communication, because how do you do that? The rhetoric. Unite and rebuild the party. That means that your rhetoric or your communication should be more conciliatory rather than retributive. You are not supposed to kind of relitigate issues all over again, or kind of be vindictive, or try to make sure that you score points. So it's very important that he is open. It's very important that he has a certain language that seeks to bring people together on 4 different levels. First of all, people who have felt disenchanted with the party and they've left. He has to bring them back. Party elders or party leadership who were not happy with the past administration, they have to come back. There's the grassroots who never turned up to vote. He has to try a way of bringing them back. And then there is also the disappointment of 2024. You know, there are a lot of NPP people who I don't think they've healed from that election. I don't think they've had closure from that election because some of the rhetoric and the language that they use, you can tell that they have not really accepted that defeat. I think Dr. Bawumia has a huge task of making sure that there's a healing process within the party. The NPP needs to have a moment of national reckoning. And the language that he uses has to make sure that there is a form of admission of fault or there is a moment of healing for all these groups. He also has to make sure that he builds on this momentum going forward. So that is the unity rhetoric and the unity narrative. Mm-hmm. And then you see a bit of it during his primary campaign. When we did an analysis of why he won, one of the themes that we found was the unity framing or the unity narrative, why it's important for them to come together, that the NPP is made up of different fault lines or different people from different ethnic groups, that the party was founded on the Dankwa, Buzia, Dombo tradition, and that this is a nationalist party and that they need to come together. So I think that's one thing that we saw him do during the campaign. The second thing that he needs to do is to stay true to himself. The only way Dr. Bawumia can help Dr. Bawumia is to continue being Dr. Bawumia. And that is what attracted or made him relatable, palatable, and attractive to the delegates and to the grassroots. And what is that? His language. He has to continue being compassionate, being empathetic. He has to continue being civil and decent in his language. He has to continue not insulting people and being so combative. Those things threw a lot of people off. And in Ghana politics, one of the ways to win, get your way into people's hearts is by being humble, by being modest, and not by being too aggressive, too incivil, too insulting. Those things really drive people away. So I think that his rhetoric has to continue being civil. The only reason why a lot of people have come to really love and embrace him partly is because of the decency and the civility in his politics. And I think he should continue doing that. The other thing is to never forget the people who put him there, the delegates and the grassroots. If he wants to win, he has to do grassroots engagement. And his rhetoric has to make sure that it is paying attention to the needs of the people at the bottom there. They trusted him. They gave him their vote. It is not a time to forget about them and then come back another time when you want their vote. No. I think he has to continue engaging them and then make sure that he listens to them. If I were him, the very first thing I would do after winning, apart from thank you, is to also do a listening tour. To kind of listen to these people. He doesn't have to talk much. Sometimes the best form of communication is silence. You don't always have to be seen as talking. You have to be there and listen to people and really take care of their needs and listen to their needs and what they are saying. The next thing is that I think he also has to stay in touch with the needs of Ghanaians. The primary is over. He has to reshift and refocus to the general election and then engage externally. At the end of the day, the NPP is at its lowest ebbs. Trust in the party is at its lowest as we can remember. Ghanaians are really disappointed with the NPP, and he has to make sure that he wins the public, the NPP wins the public trust of Ghanaians again. And the only way to do that is to make sure that he's paying attention to the needs of Ghanaians. What do they want? He has to make sure he crafts a people-centered policy if he really wants to win their trust and win their confidence again. And how does he craft a people-centered policy? That is based on data, that is based on research, listening to the people, talking about the gaps, jobs, rising cost of living. power supply. These are very important gaps that he can fill, and his rhetoric he has to make sure that he is crafting a vision that addresses the needs of Ghanaians in some of these major areas. And so to win the voters back, it has to come up with a very convincing vision for the future of Ghana. When people vote, they vote for hope, they vote for the future, and then they vote for results as well. And so people have to be able to trust him that he will give them the results and the future that they hope for. The next thing that he needs to do, and I think the MPP needs to do this very quickly, is to build strategic alliances. We've lost the youth, we've lost civil society, we've lost traditional leaders. Remember the fracas that Nana Akufo-Addo had with the chiefs and all of that. They really have to do a lot of strategic alliances and re-engagement with this group. The youth has to see them as a party that embraces their needs and their aspirations. People have complained that the MPP seems to be a party of the old, of rank and order, and that they need to open up and give young people a chance. So I think that Dr. Bawumia, in terms of his communication, has to be able to convince young people that this is your party. This is the party of the future. When they think MPP, in terms of framing, in terms of labels, in terms of emotional connections, in terms of the cognitive connection to the voter, when the youth thinks MPP, they have to, when they think the future, they have to think Dr. Bawumia and the MPP. And I think he begins to do this when he talks about digitalization. But you see, the thing about digitalization is that he has to make that communication in a way in which people are able to relate it to the immediate needs of their lives. It has to move, it has to move from the theory to the practical so that they get to see really in terms of action and result what it means for them in terms of jobs and in terms of their well-being. So when you listen to his speech that he gave on the day that he won the primaries on Saturday, he strategically begins to do this. The theme that he spent the most time on, apart from unity, was on the youth. And I think he recognizes that they've lost the university campuses, they've lost the young people, and it's about time that he engages and reaches out to them in order to win their trust again. One of the things that they also need to do very well if he hopes to win the trust of Ghanaians or do well is to find a way to distinguish himself from the Akufo-Addo administration.
Really?
I'm sorry?
Find a way to distinguish himself?
Yes.
To separate himself from it?
To separate himself, or there should be a clear difference between him and Nana Akufo-Addo. Because whether we like it or not, Dr. Bawumia is not Nana Akufo-Addo.
Yes.
However, he is tied to the strings of Nana Akufo-Addo within the wider public. A lot of the reasons why people really voted against the party was because of their anger with the previous administration, and they do associate Dr. Bawumia with it.
That's true.
Yes, he and his team of both policy and communication strategists have a lot of work to do in making sure that they craft a Bawumia identity, which is palpably different from the Akufo-Addo administration. And that is a big job that they have to do because, in any case, this election or this primary positions or solidifies Dr. Bawumia's leadership in the MPP and his general leadership qualities. He won this election on his own terms. He was not tied to the apron strengths of President Akufo-Addo.
Yeah.
When he goes out there and he speaks to people, he has to demonstrate how different he is from that previous administration. And then discipline. He needs to signal to people through his language or his communication that this is a new NPP, that this is a party that has learned its lessons, and that there needs to be some discipline both within the party and then, within the candidate himself. And he's the first person who has to show that he's disciplined through his conduct and through his rhetoric. So he has to bring a lot of discipline within the party and hold people accountable. And then the last thing that he also needs to do is that as an opposition party, they have a role to hold the government accountable on behalf of Ghanaians. I mean, how he's going to do this depends on his work with Parliament and then with the political party itself.
Yeah.
And that is why it matters who is elected party chairman. That is why it matters who is leading Parliament. There has to be some coordination between the Parliament, between the political party and between the candidates in terms of holding the government accountable, because it is only then that Ghanaians will see them as doing their job as a viable opposition party. So these are the, the strategies or the points that he needs to focus on if he really wants to connect with Ghanaians.
Oh, that's very interesting. That's very, very interesting. So, but you see him still as the best candidate from the lot? The figures show, the statistics show, but in terms of marketability, communication, how things can be turned around?
Yeah, I think that he's one of the most prepared candidates for the presidency. I mean, nothing prepares you for the presidency more than being vice president. He has been a core figure within our body politics for almost 20 years, since 2008. He's coming as a candidate, a VP candidate. I mean, even before then, worked for the Bank of Ghana, and we all know his trajectory. VP candidate, became vice president, became presidential candidate, and now he's candidate again. I think that he's learned the ropes. It sounds like an anomaly to say that he's an outsider. He has been a very visible figure within our national politics, both in government and out of government. As vice president, he promulgated one of the most transformative policies, as VP, and advocated on very solid policies such as digitalization, mobile money interoperability, and many others. I mean, he has contributed to the transformation of the vice presidency as a very active and a very visible position that can be used for social good, for social advocacy, and to have a real impact on the lives of Ghanaians. I mean, that's away from the traditional role of the vice president that we've known. He's really revolutionized the vice presidency, and people now have a huge expectation of who our vice presidents have been. And so I think that he does have something to contribute to the body politic of this country. And the MPP have made the best choice, that they could go for. It now depends on the kind of campaign that they are going to run for the next 3 years. You asked me about political communication.
Yeah.
And one of the biggest things that I think they need to do is how they frame their rhetoric and how they frame their communication moving forward, especially in connection with the previous administration. I think there's been too much defense. At this point, they really have to acknowledge some of the shortcomings of the previous administration. The days of defending it, litigating the issue, I think they have to move from there. You know that in politics, once you are defending, you are losing.
Yeah.
And once you are defending, it means you have question marks on your credibility. It's about time to accept and acknowledge the mistakes of the past. Voters don't expect perfection, but what they expect is honesty. And what they expect is growth. One political communication researcher did an analysis of the most powerful words, or the most powerful words or key words that politicians need in order to connect with voters, or that voters look out for. And one of it was trust and honesty. Voters just want to see a government that is trustworthy, that is open, and that is transparent. And so it's very important that he acknowledges those mistakes. He states what he's going to be doing differently when he is elected. And then he stops, or the party does not engage in too much excuses as to why they got things wrong. If he does this, acknowledges the wrongs, tells us what he's going to do differently, and then also communicates that they have learned the lessons of the past and communicates that in a very honest and in a very sincere manner, I think that Ghanaians will begin to understand, their position if they do that very well. So that, for me personally, is one of the big things in terms of communication that he needs to do. And Paul, he's an economist.
Yeah.
And he believes a lot in data. He believes a lot in statistics, and he believes a lot in making logical arguments, being very rational, and prosecuting the case and making his case out there. But a lot of political psychologists will tell you that voters make decisions on emotions and not on logic. You have to be able to cognitively and emotionally connect with the voters. And so in as much as data is important, as much as statistics is important, I think one of the biggest tasks for Dr. Bawumia is that he has to connect to voters. His team has a role to play in terms of humanizing him. How do all these statistics, how do all this data, and how do all these nice policies translate to the lives of Ghanaians? What does it mean for the ordinary person? And you can do that. This is where communication plays a role. You can do that by telling stories. You can do that by using anecdotes. You can do that by, going to the ground and letting people know that you feel their pain and then relating to them. A lot of times in an election, they will tell you when the communication experts do the analysis, they'll tell you that the candidate that voters see as being able to sit down to have a drink with them or have a beer with them, that they can relate to, is the candidate that they have that emotional connection to. And so he has to begin to kind of reframe and humanize himself in order to connect to the market women, to connect to people, in the farms, and people who are not necessarily part of the elites in society. That is a task that his team needs to do in terms of making him connect with the ordinary Ghanaian.
Well, that's very interesting. Okay, Fatih, this is very interesting tease. What are people saying about it? And then we can wrap up.
All right, thank you, Paul. Ipe of Faith says, God will fight for Prophet Bernard. God's will says, I really like Prof in the studio. You can see that he knows his stuff. Paul, please bring him every time. Francis Boyne says, God didn't change his mind about that prophecy. That was God's already planned strategy. Alhaji Bob Sidi says, the just ended NPP election is between data and prophecy. And at the end of the day, data knocked down prophecy. We, the DMB team, knew we are winning because we were on the field working for Bawumia. The seasoned men of God should calm down, take things easy, because God is not mere immortal. Mohammed Yusufa says, every serious-minded person knew that El Bernard was campaigning for his preferred candidates, but because these days we don't fear God, they are using God's name to fool some ignorant foot soldiers. Apna Gift says, the Bible tells us how to differentiate between false and true prophecy directly. There is no need to be explaining anything with long talks. Raymond says, from day one, El Bernard prophesied that Ken was going to win and followed it up by explaining and campaigning for Ken's bid. I knew it was content creation meant to mislead the debate. At the end of the day, data and science have won. Congratulations to Dr. Bawumia. And lastly, coming from Baba Dauni, says some people around DMB need to reshuffle because they were with Nanado, and due to their attitude towards the youth and died-hard fans, many of the youth refused to vote for the NPP in 2024. If those people are not identified and pushed behind political scenes, DMB will see the crowd on rally grounds, but they will not reflect on the ballot box. Back to you, Paul.
Okay, Prof, can you get us a wrap-up of the final word?
Yeah, thank you very much. And Paul, one last thing would be the kind of vice president that he also selects. This is a vice president who should complement him. He should also make up for his strengths or his gaps. And then he should be a vice president who also has broad appeal because the numbers will count a lot. The rhetoric of the vice president is also very important. It should be somebody who does not, drive people away from the party or annoy people, or, somebody who engages in rhetoric that is divisive. But a vice presidential candidate who will be able to bring a lot of people together. This is the time for the party to build relationships and partnerships and to transcend beyond regional and ethnic divides. And maybe that is why it's good they chose Dr. Bawumia, because what has happened to the party is very, very significant. For the first time, and once and for all, the MPP is able to put to bed the long-worn argument or narrative that it is a tribal-based party, it is a sectional party, it is a regional party, or it is an ethnic-based party, by selecting a minority, somebody from a minority ethnic group, or somebody who is not in a majority ethnic group in the party, that's Ashanti region, to lead the party. This is very significant, very, very, you can correlate this to what happened to Obama in 2008, a minority person coming in there to lead a national party. And it's good for our politics, it's good for our democracy. It gives people hope that no matter where you come from, no matter your ethnicity, no matter your religion, no matter the sound of your name, you do have a chance to also aspire to something big and to something great. It is a good advertisement for internal democracy and party democracy or grassroots democracy in Africa. And all across Africa, there are coups happening and very, very contentious democracies. Even in countries like Tanzania and many others that we've known, there are issues with democracy. I think what the MPP did is a good advertisement for democracy in this country. There was no violence, and it came out, nobody complained that they had been cheated. It was a very smooth process and a great, great, great advertisement for democracy. And I think all Ghanaians should really be proud of what happened.
Absolutely, all Ghanaians should be proud of what happened, and that's where we'll bring the curtain down tonight. So, run late, almost 11:30. Thanks for watching. Good evening, Ghana, and good night.
Metro TV, insightful and inspiring moments.